Okay, thank you for bringing this out. Yeah. So yes, so where were we? Yeah. So like you need a broker. Similarly, because of its specialization. Similarly, when as an organization you want to buy another organization, or when as a company you want to sell your company, then also you need a expert, a specialized. Why? Why do you think we need an expert who can help us buying another business or acquiring another business or merging the business? Why do we think we need an external expert? Why don't a company's CEO himself does the entire work? Why do you think the company would need any expert to help them in the perspective of buying or selling businesses?
Because Sumit, very first thing is that the experts are well versed with how to value a company, and they also know the legal and procedural in and outs of the same.
And as compared to that, a CEO might not know all of this. Why? Because the only reason the CEO is CEO, because he must be expert in the business model of whatever the business model of that company. If that company is a toothpaste manufacturing company, then the CEO would be an expert in selling toothpaste. Yes or no?
Yes,
Hello.
and he also has his own job to do. I mean, he cannot invest his time into valuing and then selling,
Correct. And
taking
that
it
is
to
his
others.
job. His job is what? His job is what? His job is to sell toothpaste, right? If you're talking about CEO of a company like HUL, what is his job? To expand the business of HUL, right? Finalize best quality of products and sell them. Is it so difficult to understand, Fiza?
No, Sumit, because he'll have more knowledge than you and he'll guide us on the right path.
Yeah. So a CEO of a company is supposed to be the CEO because he or she is the expert of that industry in which that company functions, right? So you cannot expect him to be an expert in valuing businesses or buying and selling businesses or having the knowledge of legalities of acquiring and selling companies, right? And that is why a CEO would need an assistance of an external person, external third party, which we call as investment banker. That is what investment banker is all about, right? Investment banking means what? Helping businesses in the process of acquiring, yes or no, or selling or raising capital, yes or no.
Yes.
So doesn't matter if you are a buyer of a business or if you are a seller of a business, you need an external party. That is something which is understood, yes or no? Tell me. You need an external party which is supposed to be an investment bank. Right? To a buyer, it would be a buy side advisor. To a seller, it would be a sell side advisor. So buyer will be represented by an investment banker who is supposed to be a buy side advisor. A seller will be represented by an investment banker who would be supposed to a sell side advisor. Is it clear so far?
Yes, Sumit.
Right. So buyer is going to be represented by a buy side advisor, and a seller is going to be represented by a sell side advisor, right? And these two are nothing but investment bankers. Other than that, they need assistance with respect to diligence, with respect to legal issues, and a buyer, as compared to seller, buyer need assistance of another person, and that is capital providers. Who are capital providers? For a buyer, and buyer over here is nothing but a business, yes or no? Buyer is over here is nothing but a business, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Who are capital providers for a buyer?
Banks.
Investors?
It can be a bank, it can be a private equity firm, it can be public equity investors. Yes or no? It can be general investors. Buyer will first issue FPO, raise money, and then go and buy the company. ऐसा हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता है? Is it possible or not?
Yes.
Right? So capital providers can be a public equity investor or a private equity investor or a bank or a lender. Due diligence advisors are generally the audit firms, guys, like Big Fours, you're aware about, right? Their expertise is of auditing and due diligence. So they are required, and legal advisors are generally the legal firms who would work in association with the buy side advisor in getting. And what would be the objective of this buy side advisor? What would be the ultimate objective of this buy side advisor?
To
Or-
acquire.
Huh?
To
What should be the-
acquire the company, the business at beneficial
Who is
rate.
acquiring, Sakshi? Is it buy side advisor is acquiring or buyer is acquiring?
To help his client acquire business at the best possible value.
Correct. Buy side advisor's role is not to acquire. Buy side advisor's
To
role
advise.
is help the buyer in
Help the buyer.
acquiring.
Yes.
And buy side advisor is one who will bring more and more prospects. Hello.
Yes.
For example, if you are going into an arranged marriage, right? If you are going into an arranged marriage and if you are using the services of maternity, or sorry, not maternity, what is that? Jeevansathi.com. Jeevansathi.com, right? Right. So Jeevansathi.com services, if you are using, I'm sorry to use the wrong word, guys. Yeah. Jeevansathis.com services, if you are using, then what is Jeevansathi is going to tell you that this is one and only one you have to buy or you have to marry? No. Jeevansathi is going to show you many prospects, yes or no? Now, according to your fitment, you choose one of those. Yes or no? If that happens or not, tell me.
Yes, right.
Similarly, buy-side advisor is not going to push the buyer to buy a particular company. It is going to give a lot of prospects as per the wish list of whom? As
The
per the wish
buyer.
list of whom?
The buyer.
The buyer, right? So buyer will have proper criterias. Buyer may, what can be those criterias? Buyer can say, I want to buy a company who has a presence in US. I want a company who is already making profit. I want to buy a company who is into manufacturing these items particularly. Can these criteria be there or not? Tell me. Can buyers have these criteria or not?
Yes, they can, Sumit.
Right. And buy-side advisors will have to accordingly shortlist reasonable companies as per the wish list of buyer and give a lot of prospects to buyer. If buyer likes any of these, then buy-side advisor needs to start the negotiation and the entire process, right? Yes or no? That's how what happens in matrimonial.com, right? If somebody likes your profile, you will get notification, yes, this and that. Hota hai ki nahi hota? Who sends you notification? The matrimonial.com sends you the notification, right?
Yes.
Any question?
No, Sumit.
Is it really that boring that you are not really liking it? Tell me just right away. You guys finding it boring? Is it really boring, guys? Tell me.
No.
Because you guys all sound very dull.
No, Sumit, actually we are listening to you.
Is there anything else you want me to discuss? By the way, guys, you thought of something else because I guess this was a session planned for today, right? Was it anything else which was planned for today?
No, we want the merger and acquisition session only.
Sorry?
It is on merger and acquisition session only.
Yeah, so we are talking right, as per the schedule.
Yes, yes.
Then why there is so much of silence? I don't know, understand. What has happened? Where is that enthusiasm? You guys don't want today's session. You guys today's off. Hello.
No, that's not it.
Then what is the issue? You tell me clearly. I feel like a person without a soul when people do not participate. When you guys give a dull reaction, I realize that you're not liking it. If you're not liking it, tell me now. I will get the trainer change. I'm telling you.
No, Sumit, I think earlier 40 people used to participate. Now there are only 20. That might be the reason.
But why from 40 the people have turned to 20? Is it something I'm not? This is really good big question for me. Am I not talking in this line which the subject should be taught, or is there any problem? I don't know.
Nothing like that, Sumit. We can continue the class. This is a new subject, like many things which you're asking, like it would be the first time we would have been listening.
Yeah, that is
So we
fine.
would
That's
have
why
been
I'm
just,
giving you an example of a broker, right? I believe broker might everybody knows who is a broker, how to take a house on rent,
Yes.
right? It's a very basic thing. At all, if you're not able to understand, you should ask, guys. Anything you should ask.
It's a
Otherwise,
new
how would I get
topic,
to know?
maybe that's it.
Maybe people need some time to warm up. I mean, just another 15 years so that they can at least build a base, and then it starts to get
Oh, okay. Warm up.
more involving. Yeah, but
All right,
it's
that's a good
interesting, and
suggestion. Cool. Okay. So, guys, buyer and seller, we need to understand the CEO. Many a times, guys, when I evaluate companies, or when I used to evaluate private companies in my previous job, when I used to evaluate private companies in my previous jobs, a lot of companies used to hire, the board of directors hire CEOs, right? You must be knowing it, right? The board of directors are the supreme authority and they hire CEO for the company. And then the CEO hires and makes the entire team. So board of directors used to hire CEOs. And you know what is KRA? When you hire someone, you give him KRA. You guys know what is KRA? Key responsibility areas. Yeah, key responsibilities areas. And one of the key responsibility areas which is defined for CEO is inorganic growth of the business or sell of the business profitably. That is one of the target given to the CEO, and that is why a CEO needs to have in good connection with these investment bankers. If they want to buy some companies, then buy side advisor. And if they want to sell some companies, then sell side advisors. And these buy side advisors and sell side advisors are none other than investment bankers, guys. It's as simple as that. Being investment bankers. Who are the biggest investment bank of our country? Tell me. Which are one of few of the known investment banks out of our country? Tell me.
JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs.
JP Morgan, okay.
ICICI.
ICICI, Axis Capital, okay. What else?
ICC.
Yeah, ICICI is fine. What else? IndusInd Investment Banking is there.
Kotak.
Yeah,
Bank
Kotak
of America
Investment
is
Bank
also there, na? Bank of America.
Bank of America has their Bank of BOAML, Bank of America Merrill Lynch. That's the
Yes,
known. Yeah, yeah.
Merrill
They
Lynch.
have their investment banking arm based out of India. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so these are largely earlier, I guess, I don't know, like, but Citicorp is there from the Citibank, right? Now it is acquired. Citicorp is acquired by Axis Bank, but Citicorp is there, the arm of Citibank, right? Must have heard about this deal between Axis Bank and Citibank, right? Have you guys heard about it or not?
Yes, Sumesh.
City is getting existed from India. So they
Yeah,
don't.
since last 3-4 days, it is a lot of news, right? Because since the deal
It's
has
been
happened.
since the long term. It's been they have been, they want to exit the business from India.
Yeah,
More than a year they have been planning it.
yeah, so that is true. Actually, from a long time, Vasudevan, they are planning to exit. And it is not only the story of Citibank. A lot of foreign national banks who are into retail banking in India have
They want
exited
to-
historically, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a tough for foreign national banks to. It's not that retail banking is a loss-making business. It's not that. In fact, HDFC Bank and all are making tons of money in retail banking, right? Still, somehow foreign national banks or multinational banks have not find it fruitful in India, or they, you can say, Vasudevan, they haven't cracked the code of making money out of retail banking. There's a very good
Yes,
article.
yeah,
Which
what
had come-
actually what City is saying is that they don't get the actually they are making profits from retail banking, but even though they could not able to meet the target that they have, that is
Correct.
the reason, major reason that they are going to lay out from
Yeah, so there is profitability is fine, but what is there is growth, right? They don't see any further growth in the business.
Yes, they don't find their market share in the as per other
Correct.
markets.
Correct. So that's why they haven't cracked the code of expanding in a country like India for whatsoever reason, and there are multiple reasons for that. So if you read Alpha Ideas, there's a very big article which had come recently on this only, that why foreign national banks couldn't make a cut in Indian market, even though India is a very hot banking market, right? Retail banking market. A lot of startups and all are coming, right? Are you guys reading Alpha Ideas or not? Let me share that article with you. Oh, it seems it is 10 years, 10th birthday of Alpha Ideas. I've been reading since 2017. So recently there was this article. Mhm. By the way, guys, with the lockdown opening up and Maharashtra and many states removing all the lockdown related conditions, which sectors do you think will flourish now in India? Which sectors are set for growth? Tourism, okay.
Theaters.
Theaters,
Tourism.
Entertainment.
Entertainment, tourism.
Entertainment you have to break down, right? Because Netflix is also entertainment, but that is not set to
No,
flourish.
entertainment means like theaters, theme parks,
So that's what you need to.
restaurants.
See, Netflix is also entertainment. Entertainment means a lot of things. That's what I'm saying. In fact, television is also an entertainment, right?
Yes, yes.
So from that
Logistics.
perspective, I'm saying that you need to clearly say it out.
Yes, food festivals, cultural
Okay.
festivals,
In fact,
Logistics, I believe.
places
tourism
like
also.
Tata Coffee,
Tourism
Starbucks,
also.
tourism, hotels. Okay. Anything else which comes to your mind?
People start moving to different cities, so they'll be shifting their, their stuff and logistics.
So real estate business, the brokerage business and all. But the replica of that in the Indian public sector market is very low, especially the broker. But still, the real estate sector, the commercial real estate sector, will they? Because there are many companies I know who had gone from work from home and cancel all their contract of leasing. Now they will again go back to the leasing contract and all at a higher price. Yes or no? So you know these companies, REITs companies based out of India. Are you aware about any REITs company based out of India which is listed in the Indian stock market?
Embassy, REIT.
Sorry,
Embassy.
MSC.
Embassy.
Yes, Embassy
Embassy.
REITs. Yes, Embassy REITs. Yes, correct. Then Brookfield.
Yes.
So they are set to be benefiting. Okay, what else? I'm not able to find that article. Honestly, it's very difficult to find articles then once you read it. I don't know which date it was. But I'm really disappointed. I'm highly disappointed whenever I ask, do you guys read Alpha Ideas? In so many days, you haven't even got into the practice of reading Alpha Ideas, which is really why are foreign banks marching out of India? You got it. This is a long article, but do read it at your pleasure. You will learn at least 20 things out of this article. So this article covers why foreign banks have historically been kept on going out. You know, Citibank and Bank of America and all these, how long they have HSBC. How long HSBC is there in India? Any idea?
More than 150 years, I guess.
Yeah. So Standard Chartered and HSBC vintage is having a 160 plus years of history.
Yeah.
And Citi also has around 100 plus years of history with India. The legacy bank which have been there for more than 100 years and still they have to live. No other solution left for them. So do read it. What could be the reason and all. Try to read it at your free time.
Sumit, with offices opening up, which sectors do you think that they'll face some tough time ahead?
Sorry,
You
can
talked
you
about. Sorry?
can you be a little louder? Your voice is very low.
Okay, so I'm saying that with offices opening up and people moving to different cities again, which sectors do you think will face some tough time now? Which gained some good,
So
experiences.
many, I guess, starting with pharma. It is not about, I'm talking on the COVID theme, okay? Those
Right,
pharma
right.
first, because it's not only offices getting open, right? It's a lot of other things also. So COVID related things going down, you will find a lot of pharma companies which has got instantaneous success only because of one or two drugs. See, I'm not commenting on all the pharma companies, okay? I'm commenting on those pharma companies which has got instantaneous success for 1 and 2 years. So those companies, basically those who were more into paracetamol kind of drugs, right?
Right,
They
right,
saw
right.
sudden jump in the demand of the product, right? Like Dolo, right? For
Mm-hmm.
example, Dolo as a drug, we weren't aware 3 years back to the extent the way we know it now, right? The
It
Dolo
was
as a
rarely
drug was
given
there.
by doctors. Yeah.
Yeah, Dolo is a drug is there since many years, but we didn't know. And you might know or not, the owners of Dolo are themselves surprised seeing their company progressing so much. Okay, so companies like this are again set to see a normalized. Companies like Netflix are already seeing some. Sorry.
Uh, Sumit, I mean, I'll be more specific about this question. Not about pharma, but I mean, because of the lifestyle, people sitting around in their houses and not going out much, and then spending their money on particular products from particular sectors. I mean, it's more about okay, in sectors का आगे क्या होगा? Who will be facing some
सेक्टर का आगे जैसे for example, let's talk about Netflix. ठीक है?
right.
So Netflix is not going to go anywhere. So what will happen? For example, Netflix had a revenue of 100 in 2021. It
Mm-hmm.
might fall by 30% this year, but then it will then set to a normalized growth of 10-12%. So
Right.
as such, you would not find, for example, Zoom. No, Zoom also as a platform got huge growth because of COVID,
Right,
right?
right, right, right.
Now COVID going away doesn't mean that Zoom now will go away completely. There can be a low revenue years for 1 or 2 years, but people have also learned and made this as a part of their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there would be some normalization to the sales of the companies like Zoom or Netflix, which has gone for which the sales had gone off because of COVID, but the kind of comfort which it has given to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think corporate traveling would ever come to the level which it was there in 2019. Honestly, it saves a lot of money for the corporate. Just think
Yeah,
about it.
yes, yes, yes.
To complete a deal, to do a deal on this way, with the help of Zoom or any technological platform, you can save lakhs and lakhs of rupees. For example, just
Mm-hmm.
imagine yourself going, representing Infosys and going on a trip to Europe for 20
Mm-hmm.
days. It would cost them at least not even if not more, but at least 5 lakh rupees,
Mm-hmm.
including your tickets.
Right.
Because your hotel tickets, and then they will have to pay you for lunch, dinner, everything. If companies is sending you for companies work, they will have to pay you, right, for every day,
Mm-hmm.
and as per your designation. Now, if you are a very senior
Right,
person, they might provide you charter flights also,
right, right,
so
right,
that
right.
the cost can go. The one trip of cost can go for almost 1 crore plus,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, uh, who wouldn't like as a company to reduce down their cost? So traveling cost is going to go down, and I don't think the hotel business, which are completely dependent on corporate uh, or corporate clients, would ever
Mm-hmm.
become back to the level they were in 2019
Yes.
or 20. Yeah, those hotels which had a mix or blend of corporate as well as people who are
Non-corp.
going out as a
Mm-hmm.
tourism, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they will see a serious bound or come back. But still, those companies who were completely dependent on corporate clients would not find things as smooth even now, right? So there's
Mm-hmm.
something for permanent. Something has happened to these trends, which is going to cost them a lot, right? And
Right, right.
uh, but but yeah, but if there's something which will never see a day back, I don't think anything like that happening. That those who saw a sudden rise in COVID time, now they will not have any more demand and they will not be required. It's not. I don't see any such this normalization can be there. There can be an impact of couple of years on their revenue, because growth rate tapering down. But as such, they also taught us something new, right? A new way of living or new way of using goods or services, which is going to stay, I guess, over here. See,
Right,
I'll
right.
talk about myself, for example. Okay, for me, if you talk about, I start at 8 o'clock, and I today I have a session till 9:30 in the evening. At a stretch, at 8 o'clock to 12, I completed one session. 12 to 4, I completed another session. 4 to 9:30, I have another session. We have to complete the course over there, so that is why we're stretching for almost 5.5 hours. This is only possible because of Zoom, and COVID is not there. Still, that that business opportunity is not going to go from us, because the education technology which has flourished during the COVID time has given so much of comfort in learning. You can sit back and in your pajama and you can study. And I'm also sitting in my pajama right now, right? And giving this session, and you can just think there's no traveling involved. Otherwise, if I at max during the time when physical classes were the norm till to 2019-20, I could at max I could take two sessions, 4 to 8 in the evening and morning 9 to 2 or 9 to 1. That's the maximum, because then I'll have to and fro. I'll have to travel also. Right now, I don't have to travel, so I'm just sitting down, and so this is what we call it efficiency, right? Same person, same system, but efficiency has improved, which has resulted into higher productivity, higher profits, and everything. So technology is not going to go away. Various comfort which technology has given us, but yes, there may be some tapering to the growth rate. The kind of projections which these companies would have made, seeing the last 2 years of growth, those kind of growth, I don't think they would be able to achieve in the next coming few years. Same with the case of pharmas, which are which got huge growth because of COVID related drugs.
Right, right, Sumit. See, there is a lot to discuss, but I understand that we have a agenda for today. So I
Yeah,
mean
that is
that's
true.
that's really good that we discuss these things and you come up with these
Mm.
ideas.
No, good, good. Yeah, because when you ask questions, it's good. It's good for me also, right? So you have to make us think. But right now, the biggest challenge, Sushant, is COVID. People have actually forgotten COVID. Now, all the businesses at a stretch are going to give poor performance. All the businesses,
Right.
irrespective of which industry they belong to. There is a and for the next few quarters, they are supposed to give very bad result. And the
Mm-hmm.
problem is inflation.
Mm-hmm.
There are only few sectors which are not going to be affected by inflation because they are pure commodity businesses. And in a
Mm-hmm.
normal time, pure commodity businesses do not give much of profitability. But in the inflationary environment, pure commodity businesses make good profit. For example, Tata Steel
Mm-hmm.
or like that. Any
Aluminum.
pure
Right,
commodity business which are into pure
right, right,
commodity, they would
right.
give you, for example, oil exploration companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are set to take have a huge advantage because oil reaching from $60 to $100 plus, and the oil, because they are extracting oil from the so the cost is not going up overnight of extracting the oil from the ground, but the selling price has gone up, so their profitability will go up. But other than these, most of the companies are.
Sumit, if you allow me, I just wanted to touch on another area regarding this.
Go ahead.
That's about wealth management. I mean, see, what I was reading and I was just looking at random YouTube videos and all those things.
Hmm.
What I came across was that during these last 2 or 3 years, uh, wealth people have accumulated wealth,
Yeah,
especially because of those startups and all those things. I mean, overnight log amir ho rahe hain.
correct.
So uh, accumulation is there, but then usko then creating a moat around it, and then then preserving it, and then बाकी की चीजें, I mean wealth transfer, estate management, and all those things. I was actually interested in all those things. I was just looking at these things. I mean, इसका do you really think that इसका आगे considering कि पिछले 2-3 साल में people have accumulated a lot of money and now they need somebody to manage it all together.
Hmm.
I mean, how do you see this particular area,
So
or
I
if
talk
others
about
can
my
also?
own, Sushant. I talk about my
Right.
own, right? The way
Mm-hmm.
my portfolio was, right? It has gone almost 13 times in last 2 years. Though the base is small, Sushant, Okay.
Mhm.
But on that small base, but if you talk about the multiplier, it has gone 13 times.
Mhm.
And my new investment is very limited. And that also because the cost has gone down for people like us, right? We come back from rented space and started living at our hometown and all, right? So wealth has gone created for people like me also to an extent which I had planned something. So for example, the today at what level I am today, I had planned the same thing when I will be achieving 35 years old, right?
Right.
So when so in 2000 in 2018, when I was 28, I had made a vision that by that time 35 years we will reach to this portfolio. Okay.
Right. Right.
That size of the portfolio, that was my and my wife's vision. And we have already achieved that when I haven't even touched 32, and I already achieved it. Yesterday only we were, because 31st March we were sorry, 1st April, yesterday 1st April we were just because we got all the interest credited and everything from our PF account and everything, right? So based on that, I have this habit of, every month I just see where our portfolio has gone and all. So we already achieved that yesterday itself. We already achieved what we were achieved. So we are 3 years behind. So 3 years before the target, right? Three and a half years, more or less, right? So it has happened, and currently you're correct. And now I feel really, and I can understand people who have accumulated a lot of wealth. If they would expect, there are two challenges, Sushant. One, if they would expect the same level of growth, then they would end up doing a lot of mistakes,
Right. Right.
because then they would go a little more risky. They already, people have enhanced their risk level, seeing from debt products, going from debt products to equity, and then now even equity will not be able to give you that kind of return, right? In the last 1 year or so, 1.5 year, means post November 2020, sorry, March 2020, stock market or Nifty has given a 130% plus return, right? So that is just 130% plus return in a 2 years of span, and you can't expect the same return to come in the next 2 years. So the next 2 years is not going to be that glorious from the return perspective. You have to have reasonable expectation, right? And reasonable, by reasonable expectation, I believe 10-12% at max, plus minus 2% here and there, right? So, but if you, but out of your greed, if everybody still, if there's someone who still think that he will be able to make 130% return, then he is bound to enter into some asset classes which are very risk. For example, Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin might promise you, and for example, there are certain coins in which if you keep currency, you get interest to the tune of 20%. I don't know if you are aware about or not, but there are certain currencies, not Bitcoin, but there are currencies in which if you hold the balance in that wallet, you end up getting 18 to 20% rate of return. So obviously, we are living in an environment where a bank is giving on FD a 5% rate of return. If somebody is offering you 20%, you just can think of how risky that opportunity can be, right? Obviously, it's not going to be risk free. So there is a concept: capital growth and capital preservation. So obviously, we are living in an environment now that we need to preserve the capital, then rather than thinking only growing, because these kind of opportunities do not come, and that has created already. It's already reflected now. The place, the interest which you have got, it is already reflected, right? You can see a lot of people coming up and becoming wealth advisor. And why do you think these businesses have flourished? One of the biggest reason for this is this only, that there on the other side is there for the content, right? And that is why people are making a lot of contents. For example, if you created a content, you uploaded the article, and or you uploaded a video, and other than your friends, there is no viewer, right? You made another video, made another video, you made 10 videos, and still you don't have a subscriber more than 15, 20, 25. Obviously, it will be demotivating for you to make more videos, right? You will not continue making it. Yes or no?
Right.
But today we are seeing that any new person who's coming and making a video and a good content is there. Not best, but still reasonably good content if he's ready to offer. Within 1 year, you can have 100,000 plus subscribers. So that means the demand pool is there, right? And why the demand pool is there? Because people are looking for wealth management options. and want to gain more knowledge that how to balance their wealth, how to grow their wealth and preserve their wealth, right? How to protect their
Right.
wealth.
Actually,
So
Sumit, this
that is already reflected. Yeah.
this question comes because I'm a mutual fund distributor. I mean, I just started a couple of months back,
Hmm.
and I see that खाली mutual fund say, I mean, the people are ठीक है, मतलब those who are not aware, they are happy with mutual funds only. But those who are a bit aware, they are not. They're saying that we need more than mutual funds because they understand that कहीं ना कहीं एक risk factor भी है.
So
So
this
I
is
was just
this
explore.
this is what is pure case of recency bias, because recently we have seen mutual funds. You could have performed better than mutual fund if you would have invested in few stocks directly.
Right, right, right,
Right.
right, right.
And this is what recency bias is all about, because recently, as I said, Nifty has given 130% return in 2 years. So you would
Mhm.
expect that next 2 years also should be that glamorous, which
Mhm.
can it be? Yeah, it can happen, right? Anything and everything can happen in future. Who knows? Today I'm here, 2 minutes there, 2 months there, I might not be there, right? Or so that is there. So anything can happen, but still, should I expect the best? I should not expect the best. That should be the reasonably, and proper diversification is really important. And if you have generated a lot of return from one asset class, obviously you should come out and invest into another asset class to diversify. But the other asset classes where you are investing, if that is also already ballooned, then you might be thinking you are diversifying, but you are actually diversifying it for the worst.
Right.
So that there's another problem, and that is why yes, still you need an expert on wealth management.
Right, right. Because one of my clients said that यार इतना कुछ जमा करके कल को अगर मैं नहीं रहा, what
Hmm.
then? So then this question came up कि यार see a person all through his life he's a serving police officer, अच्छे rank पे है, and I understand that he has good backup with him. I mean, he अच्छा खासा. But what his question made me ponder about, I mean, all these things कि कल को wealth transfer कैसे करना है. And then later on, जब मैं इस area में, the more I started to research, then I came up with the wealth management concept and how it actually works with a couple of people. You have tax planning also involved. Then you have insurances. Then wealth transfer planning. So I mean, my question is basically, are you positive about considering that the last trend in the last 2 years? Are you really positive about this particular industry, the wealth management?
See, I believe wealth management is flourishing since last 2-3 years. In fact, flourishing since last 10, 12 years. But it is becoming more now. It is becoming more. Uh, so I'll put it in another context. See, earlier wealth management industry was dominated by banks. Okay.
Right.
So you would have find all these banks, Sushant, having wealth management department. So the way I now see wealth management industries flourishing is it's going mainstream, where individuals like you and me coming up and becoming wealth advisor, and the clients going, rather than going to a bank, they're coming to someone whom they know, or who can give better advice, right?
We have
And who
plans like
can
CSP,
charge them a
CWI.
fee, who can charge them a fee, but do not have any vested interest. For example, the LIC guy. Your family, your parents would have someone who would have come and sold the LIC, right? This
Right.
LIC guy is the biggest money maker in our country in last 20-30 years. I'll just show you how much an LIC broker make, okay, in one deal. So what I believe is there is one. So wealth management is a very diverse industry, Sushant. Few players might see slowdown, and few players might see surge. Family wealth advisors. There are family firms. So wealth advisor mein, you can become a wealth advisor as an individual. You can become a part of a family business house. For example, some big wealth management company managing the wealth money for certain big business houses. जैसे पाटनी होके बहुत बड़ा brand, right? So Patni ka wealth advisor, you become a firm which a family office basically for Patni. और Patni comes up with his own family office. So एक वो perspective है. दूसरे है you become a wealth advisor through digital platform, right? By creating a small case for yourself. You create a small case, and people follow your small case. Small case is nothing but a kind of portfolio you create, right? That I'm invested into this portfolio. You want to buy it. So in the same proportion, anybody who's investing into it, his money will or her money will get invested in the same proportion. So let me find out.
Because while I was looking, I came up across now people are going for programs like CFP, CWN, and particularly in Chandigarh region, because people, the crowd of Chandigarh. I mean, most of them are
Very well.
NRIs and others. Yeah.
Hmm.
So I was talking to one of my friends. He left ICICI and joined a wealth management firm in Chandigarh, and then there was another guy. He also joined in Panchkula. So
Hmm.
that's what कुछ questions उठने
So
लगे
this
कि
is happening. This is happening. And that says, see, again, he left ICICI job and has joined a small firm based out of Chandigarh, right?
yes,
So that is what I'm talking about, So you can find that banks losing in this business, right? But there are other individual companies make a lot of money out of it.
Yeah, and the
So
guy
that
who's
can
starting
happen.
that company, he also is from a banking background, put 13-14 years into these things, and then I mean, obviously, Padna and then directly talking to people here on the in our class, thoda एक idea मिल जाता है. It feels good to get
Because these banks and all, people have come to realize that these banks or this LIC as a company, they are biggest looters of your money. Okay.
Right.
So for example, let's talk about this LIC agent's life. Okay. He starts his business. This is year 1. Okay. He sells a policy. How many policies he sells? 60 policy in a year. Okay. That is how many in month? 5 policy a month, which is reasonable, right? In 30 days, you are selling only 5 policy, right?
Right.
To start with. Premium per policy is 10,000. Very reasonable, right? So total premium will be 6 lakh, right? Now your income, the LIC agent's income will be how much? 35% of that. 2,10,000 on a 6 lakh. So whose money is this? First of all, think about it. This 2,10,000 is whose money?
The policy holders.
Policy holders. So policy holder is thinking that we are giving 6 lakh, our 6 lakh will get invested, right? But is this 6 lakh getting invested anywhere? No.
No.
Because 2,10,000, that is 35%. And this is not all. This is not all. Those same people in their next year's this policy premium, next year again, they're going to give 6 lakh, right? On that, 7.5% is going to go as a commission to the same person who has sold that. So next year also from that 6 lakh, 45,000 will go as a commission. Then next year, third year also 45,000. Then it will start going as a commission at a 5% rate. So 30,000, 30,000. 6 lakh at 35%, 30,000 hota hai, right? Just look on this last wali line. Ye usi side mein chal raha hai, ye diagonal.
Yeah.
The same policy, jo first year mein 60 policy holders have come to the company, right? These people are giving. So in total, how much they have given? 40, 21, 2 lakh, 10,000, 45,000, 45,000, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, and this 30. For next 10 years, they will keep giving money to whom? To this agent. Right? Even it can go till maturity. Could get till maturity, right? Now think about his income. His income. So this agent will keep receiving so much of money. He might start with a total income of 2,10,000, but it's 10 by the year he reaches 10 years, he start earning 1,94 lakh. Sorry.
Yeah.
19,44,886. Right? And all this is the money which is actually you don't know that out of your premium, this money is getting paid to the agent. Right? So, which is very heavy, right? 35%, 7.5%, 5%. Now, as compared to this, if you get an option to pay 2.5%, that too clearly without any hide, right? For example, you come to me and you say, Sumit, I need wealth advisory. I said, boss, I'll charge 2.5% of the EUN. Right? As compared to you go to an LIC which charges you 35%, 7.5%, and 5%, and that too without your knowledge. Yeah. You never get to know. According to you, you are investing 6 lakh. Right? So who do you think is going to win the business in long term?
The agent, right?
Oh, why the agent? People get to know. Eventually, people will get to know now that this agent, though he's not telling, but he is charging us so much of money. Hello,
Mhm.
not getting my question. I guess. Let me put it again.
No, no, no. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Yeah.
See, there are two person. They see you are in wealth person. You have 10 crore rupees with you, right? There are two
Mhm.
people. One who comes to you and tell you that boss, I'll charge 2.5 percentage and I will invest your money and will make money for you. Second, an LIC agent comes to you and he says that I will not charge anything.
Mhm.
But now you know that they charge a lot of money. Hello, they charge
Mhm.
35%, 7.5%, or 5%. So whom you
Mhm.
will give your business to, the agent or to me?
Obviously, to the one charging less to you.
To me, right? That is
Right.
what. So that awareness is coming today now.
Right. 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 Right.
Earlier, that awareness wasn't there, right? Somebody who was read this on Twitter immediately got to know that my father and grandfathers were making poor decision when they were relying on LIC,
Mhm.
right? So after knowing, so I don't have any LIC policy. Okay,
Mhm.
I never bought any LIC policy. In fact, I don't have any life insurance policy. I believe in creating a portfolio of your own rather than giving money to someone else, right? To manage. So, but that doesn't mean you should not buy. But according to me, you should buy term insurance, and term insurance is already provided to me by my company, right?
And I believe this calculation is for an endowment plan, a normal endowment plan, which we
Yes,
normally go
yes,
for, right?
yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the biggest challenge, right? And
Right. Right. Right.
तो इसलिए behemoths are may fall, but you see wealth management advising getting more mainstream and a lot of people coming out of it. So far in India, there are only 40 mutual fund companies, right? Whereas if you compare it to US, there are 600 plus mutual fund companies. So there is a lot of scope in wealth management, and yes, the scope has always been there. Now it is going mainstream at a broader level. Earlier it was
I work
more
for
in
a
Mumbai or metros. Now it is going at a broader level. You know, people in the
yeah.
smaller cities and towns are also getting the importance of wealth management, because you should not outlive your money. Your money should outlive you. That's a very
Right.
basic presumption.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So yes, so that's what my thinking is. But yeah, I can be completely wrong.
No, then that's really official that we're discussing these things. I mean,
Okay.
others also would be appreciating this thing, I believe.
Okay, not an issue. Let's forget about others. You ask questions, that's great. Right? That is what session is for, to ask questions. Carry on. Let's go again. Thoda sa say, yeah. So coming back to these guys, you know, investment bankers are buy side advisors and sell side advisors. Buy side advisor assist the buyer and the sell side advisors assist the seller. Uh, Now let's get into the process of M&A. This is the entire process, guys, and it's not very tough. In fact, if you will compare this process to a matchmaking, you will realize it's the same process as matchmaking, right? So what happens in a matchmaking? In arranged marriage, anybody who's gone through the arranged marriage experience, just remember it. Earlier, when there was no matrimonial websites and jeevansati.com and all, you used to ask some broker, right? Some marriage bureau or someone in your knowledge. It can be a family member who's doing for free as a service, or it can be someone who is charging you. And you'll ask him basically that show me some prospect. This family member or your relative or your broker will ask you, okay, what are the things which you're looking for, right, Fiza? They'll
Yes,
ask what are the things you're looking for. You're in your
you would
in
you
the
would
person
go
whom
to
you want to
them,
marry.
right?
Right?
You would go to them with their criteria. This is
Yeah.
criteria.
So it'll tell the criteria, the height should be,
One,
or
two,
this person,
three.
the person should be earning this much, the person should be a government employee, or the person should be a house homemaker, or the person should be earning this much, the person should have this family background, the person should not have tobacco, alcohol, the person should not be consuming this, that, the person should be having a car or no car, the person should not be eco-friendly, or the person should be eco-friendly, whatever. You will give a whole set of list or items or filters to the broker, right? And then what will be the broker? So task will be broker will go and find prospects based on your criteria from his database. He might be having a database of 200 resumes. He'll first check that if he exploits the entire thing, still he doesn't find very specific which you wanted, then he will connect with other brokers. कि बॉस जयपुर में ऐसा कोई बंदा नहीं है, उदयपुर में है क्या? I don't have anyone in this match according to this filter. I don't have anyone in Jaipur. Let me connect with the brokers of Udaipur. Let me check if there's someone in Udaipur having the same specifications, right? So you will connect with other brokers, and then there are various channels which you can use to find it out. And then you will create a list of 10 people, for example, 10 resumes. You will shortlist 10 resumes with which matches completely or approximately to the requirement of yours. And then the broker will come to you and see these are the 10 resumes which matches to the prospects or the filters which you have given to me, right? And then you will also see, you will see the photos and conditions and everything. Few you would reject outright, even after them matching. There might be something which you didn't say earlier, but it is not looking good on the resume. So you say, okay, I don't want it. And then you will say, from your shortlisted of 10 candidates, I'm shortlisting 6 candidates. So set up a meeting for this with these 6 people. So then you go and meet those 6 people, and then things go ahead, right? And ultimately you go for an engagement. You do not go for a marriage. In arranged marriage, you go for an engagement as a first stage, and then marriage. In a love marriage, it might be a pure there is also engagement in a love marriage, in the sense that once you realize that you love each other, that itself is the day of your engagement, basically, because you got committed to each other, and then you go for marriage. And between these two dates, there might be 3 years, there might be 3 months, or there might be 6 months, 1 year. But let's talk about arranged marriage, because we are talking about arranged marriage. So you will go for engagement and you will not go for marriage, right? Shub, have you seen anybody going arranged marriage route, Shub, in your family or friends or someone? Have you seen someone going this? They'll not go for direct marriage, they will go for engagement. Yes or no?
Yes, Sumit.
Right? And why engagement? This is a very important question. Why engagement and not marriage? Because this engagement is a period of due diligence. You need to understand. This engagement is a short window of 3 months, 6 months, when you get to talk to the other person more and more and more. Maybe you start talking 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, understand each other. And there is still a chance that either of the party can say no before the marriage. Because once you get married, divorce is a big headache. But if you are only engaged and not married, it is just a matter of phone call. Your parents call to the other the other person's parent and say, my son will no more call your daughter because he is now not interested. And that girl's parents cannot ask alimony. They can't ask. Why? Because the marriage hasn't happened. Mr. Barker, the marriage hasn't happened, right? The girl's parents cannot ask for alimony. That because you have talked to my daughter for 6 months, now you have to pay all alimony, right? Yes or no?
Sumit. Yes, Sumit.
Right? So that is a due diligence period. You need to understand there's a process of due diligence which happens that 6 months you get to understand each other. And after that also, if you still like each other, then you finally enter into a marriage, which is a full-time commitment, obviously, right? That's the same process for an M&A, guys. As simple as that. First, if you are, for example, Fiza, if you are planning to buy a business, in order to grow your business, you are looking to buy a business, you will hire an investment banker. You will set up a meeting with an investment banker. You will say, boss, I am right now manufacturing and this toothpaste and selling it into Rajasthan and Maharashtra, but I want to expand my geography to Tamil Nadu and Chennai and Bangalore and Bangalore and Chennai, and the geography is Hyderabad and all these places. I want to go south and I want to go east also, Assam and everything. But I don't want to set up my own manufacturing plant. That is why I need your help. Can you help me find out businesses which are manufacturing plant already in these locations, who are already manufacturing toothpaste and already have a reasonably well-established brand in these geographies, right? And then the investment banker will ask a couple of questions to you. Okay, so what is the size of the business which you are looking for. Are you looking for a size which is very big or small or medium? No, it can be size with respect to market cap, with respect to enterprise value. It can be size with respect to revenue and profitability. Are you looking are you looking for a professionally run business or a family run business? You are okay with the family run business also, that historically that business was run by a family and now you are going to acquire it, or you want only a professional run business who was historically also run professionally by professionals, MBAs and CAs and engineers and all. So all these criteria the investment banker will get to know. Based on all of these criteria, the investment banker will now go and do prospecting and marketing. He'll see in his own database, and he'll try to find out other, so he'll do some marketing also among his colleagues and among his known group, that I'm looking for these kind of businesses and this and that and this and that. So you try to identify targets by reaching out more people, by reaching out more companies, by reaching out more prospects. Once you have identified few targets, basically you will make a list of targets. These are the qualified list of targets, which can be a good prospect for our buying, right? And then you do evaluation and prospect finalization. You do shortlisting in conjunction with the buyer, the investment banker in conjunction with the business will do the shortlisting and see based on the conditions, valuations, terms, size, a lot of things, right? And this list of or the short list should be a reasonable number of or adequate number of buyers. Obviously, it should not be only one buyer. Then because one company, it should not be only one company. If you are a buyer, you should look for 10, 7, 5, 6 adequate number of prospects. You should not only look for one prospect. Otherwise, what is there to negotiate? If you have only one thing as an option to buy, then obviously you would not be able to negotiate and do a lot of due diligence. So you should have an adequate set of companies, right? And once you make a adequate list of buyers, or sellers, whosoever is the target, and then you need to do what? You need to make an offer. Basically, you go start meeting them. You give them an offer that we will buy your company in 2 crore rupees on an average, or this or that, some valuation, some perspectives, but this is subject to change. This can change, but let's get into a uh, uh, let's get into a initial contract, where you start sharing your information with us in a confidential manner, and we stop looking for more prospects, right? So it's kind of an engagement kind of series, wherein you stop looking for more prospects and you engage with that person or that prospect. And then the detailed due diligence process starts. And in that due diligence process, the company shares a lot of confidential information with each other. A data room is created. These days, a virtual data room is created in which both the companies will give all the list of documents which the another company is asking for. For example, if you are a buyer, so you'll ask from the seller a lot of contracts. It can be 20-year-old contract or 50-year-old contract. It can be a land purchase document. It can be any legal document, anything or everything which is asked. As a seller, you'll have to provide. And buyers, clients, basically, it can be an EY or KPMG, whosoever is the due diligence agent, will do the due diligence of all those documents and all the legal requirements and everything. If after the due diligence process everything is good, then process will move towards documentation, which is both the parties will again sit and will say, okay, we went through the due diligence process. We have found these things which you haven't told to us at our initial level of discussion. So these are the places where we find that your company is not doing good, or because of which you will have to go for a lower price or whatever. Or we didn't like these things about your company. Either you change it or we will not buy your company. Or so it can be anything. So it's a sitting between these two companies, and they're talking with each other based out on what are the evidences or what are the outcomes of the due diligence process are. And after that, if things are good, they can sign documents. and post documents, and documents will be share purchase agreement. If both the parties are okay, then share purchase agreement will be signed. Escrow account will be established, keeping a bank. Buyer will first transfer the money to an escrow account, and once the documents are signed, then bank will sign. Then the bank, and all the conditions are met by seller, then the bank will transfer the money from buyer's account to seller's account, right? And that is how the deal will be closed. So it would be exchange of money from one person to another and exchange of securities from seller to buyer. So that is how the process is, guys. Any question on the process? On the entire process, any question? Anyone? Okay, Damini, any question? Chandni, any question? Okay, Vasudevan, any question?
No, Sumit.
Yeah, great. So planning, marketing, evaluating and prospect finalization, bidding, due diligence, documentation, and closing. These are the various processes which are there now. Now, guys, to start with, if you get into investment banker, you would be working, to start with, you would be working largely with these two items, these three set of things, right? Yeah. So largely these three things you would be the part of, and which is the most tough one, where investment banker is heavily involved. Because after this, you can understand investment banker is assisted by the due diligence companies and the legal companies and all. So then after this process, it's not only investment banker would largely become a coordinator, but the major role will be played by due diligence companies who would be checking and reviewing all the documents and sharing their inputs or their understanding, right? Right. So the first three steps, investment banker is a very important role, and then investment banker again come into the picture in the last process, where a lot of documentation and operational work is required. You need to set up the documents clearly, and you need to coordinate with the banks, and you need to coordinate with the legal firms to get the share purchase agreement. And if it is a publicly listed company, then the requirement can be much more, timely, coordinating with the SEBI or registrar of the companies and NSEs and BSEs with timely communication. You can't be late in communicating anything about the company, because a publicly listed company uh, is bound to give a lot of decisions in public. They have to announce it to the public, right? So the last two stages are basically operational work, and the first three steps are basically requires a lot of negotiating, a lot of networking, a lot of storytelling, right? You have to tell the story because your client wants to buy a company, or let's think your client wants to sell a company. So Vasudevan, you are representing a client which wants to sell a company. Tell me, what are the things which will have to tell to convince buyers to buy that company? Think about it. Do you think that you have to create a lot of stories to tell to people so that really people get interested or buyers get interested in that company? You are representing a seller of a company, Vasudevan. You are an investment bank, and your client is a seller. Tell me, don't you think you need to tell a story to a lot of people so that they get interested in the company? Yes or no?
In default, we should promote ourselves. Right?
Sorry?
By default, we should promote our company and what we are and what we do and how we make everything should be given to should be understood to the other party also. Only then they will be show some interest in our company to get it.
Yeah, and they will show interest only when they see something profitable in your company,
Yes,
right?
they see some opportunities and growth in the business.
Yeah. So if they are not able to see it, you'll have to show it to them, right?
Yes.
And that is where you'll have to do a lot of thinking. And this opportunity is rather than numbers, it would be largely what qualitative, yes or no?
Yes, by default. Yes.
And that would require a lot of research, yes or no?
Yes.
Right. So let me show you what such.
Three stages: planning and preparation, marketing and evaluation. At that time,
Are you asking something, Chandni?
yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. I'm asking when we are at the first three stages, at the first three stages, do we do the, I mean, the investment banker who are part of the M&A process, do they do the valuation also, or it is
Yes.
done by third?
Then they do valuation also. A basic level valuation is already. Seller, you will do the valuation of the company and show it to the prospective buyer so that they know if they finally decide to buy how much they have to come out. See, Chandni, it's like you go to buy a, for example, a top, right? Don't you think that person will first ask, anywhere you go, the person will ask, what's your budget, man? It happens or not? Tell me. Even if you go to buy a phone, don't you think, don't the people ask, what's your budget, man? Hello? Because there's a lot of waste of effort from that side, right? If you go and say, show me, it happened with me once, I went to this Select City Walk in Delhi. I don't know if you ever visited Delhi. So Select City Walk in Delhi, and there was a small shop of shirts, very good looking, small, but it was a small, and I went inside to buy a shirt. I thought all the shirts, generally the shirts are in the price range of 1,500 to 3,000. So that was my budget also, right? And all of a sudden I entered into it. I thought itna hi hoga price, right? So I without seeing the tag, I just shortlisted one shirt, and I asked him to uh, this make the bill, right? And it was 19,000 rupees shirt. Okay, 19,000 rupees shirt. And then I said, no. Is it 19,000? Bola, sir, bill ban gaya hai. What now? Why you are asking it is 19,000? So it is a 2 hours work, Fiza. It is a 2 hour work, right? I must have seen, I must have wear some 7 shirts, came out, shown it to my friend. Is it looking good? Is it looking good? This, that. Entire and that one, and for that entire time, that one person was completely managing me, right, from their staff. After that 1 hour, 2 hour of task, I'm coming to the bill counter. I'm saying I thought it is 3,000 shirt. Now, isn't it a waste of time for the company and for me also?
Yeah, I think that is the first question every.
Right? They might have forgotten asking me, right? Or I don't remember if they would have asked कि sir budget क्या है? मैंने बोला होगा कि यार budget को छोड़ो ना भाई दिखा दो. So they would have thought कि obviously now we look professional, so they would have thought कि sir would have budget, right? So they do not push us much. But then this is the biggest problem, right? आपका budget उतना ही देखो ना फिर, right? It saves a lot of time. So that is why initial level of valuation is done, Chandni, which is subject to change, obviously, after due diligence.
And due diligence is done by
Because due diligence will be done by the parties in association with the IB. IB will be part of it, but obviously it will be done by external third party. Because IBs can have vested interest, or it would be generally done by third party like PwC or all this. So after this due diligence, a lot of things can come up. For example, and I'll tell you an example of Renbexy. Just give me a second. Yeah. So in case of Ranbaxy was bought by a Japanese company, no, not Terra. I'll just show you. And in the due diligence process, there were a few documents which were not shared with that company of Japanese company, basically the Japan. That costed a lot because there was some lags in the due diligence process that costed the buyer a lot. So Ranbaxy is bought by Sun Pharma. That's a different thing, but Ranbaxy was bought by in 2009-10. Who bought it? Daiichi. So Daiichi Sankyo bought the Ranbaxy. Okay. In somewhere in 2009-10. Okay. So during that time, there was one list of documents which was not shared as a part of due diligence, which was not shared with this Japanese company, and which costed this Japanese company almost like some 1,000 crore rupees. Okay, as a lawsuit. There was a pending lawsuit on the company about which Ranbaxy didn't share any of the documents with this, and during the due diligence process, right? And without that, they acquired the company for this $3.4 billion or something, right? This is 2008 news, right? 3.4 billion dollar in 2008-9, right? Now the case got settled somewhere around 2013-14, and but this Japanese company was also smart. They said that if there is any due diligence which you didn't share it with us during the due diligence process, if there is anything which you didn't share it with us, and if that result into any liabilities in the future, the promoters will be paying it. So obviously Daiichi had to first pay, because in 2013 promoters were Daiichi, but Daiichi out of that clause took the money from the Singh brothers, who were the actual promoters of Ranbaxy when they sold it in 2008-9. So Ranbir Singh and Gurbakh Singh, as you can see, right? So
is it mandate, Sumit, that let's say we know, right? Some deals can be there. People do go for due diligence. It is mandatory, or it can be skipped by both the parties also.
say due diligence is mandatory, Chandni. Even in love marriage, why do you think people live in?
In the sense that like it is officially a documented process, or like
It's an officially documented process. The engagement is an official process, right? Where parents of the girl and the boys are agreeing for them to stay out and live in, right? It's agreed process. It's an official process. That's what engagement is for. Same is the case with this. There's a time given between the companies for 3 months. For example, we booked a deal. We say, okay, I'll buy your company, Chandni, but after due diligence. So first we will enter into a contract. Me and Chandni will enter into a contract where we will say, now I will stop looking for any further companies. I will buy your company. Given due diligence is comes out positive. Say okay. Then you also say in that agreement, you also say for that, but you have to define the timeline. Because you can't just continuously keep doing the due diligence for 20 years for my company and then you buy it. It's not like that. So you say, okay, I'm okay agreeing for the due diligence, but let's make it 6 months or 3 months. Standard is 3 months, but depending on the size of the company, it can go 6 months. For example, the deal between Reliance and Aramco, the due diligence went almost for 2 years, and after that the deal got cancelled. So due diligence, but during that due diligence period, Chandni, the contractual thing is what? That during that 3 months or 6 months, whatever is the contractual period, either you will not look out for someone else, and I will also not look out for some other company. So you will not look out for some other buyer, I will not look out for some buyer. For that 6 months, you and me are the buyer and seller, and we would enter into due diligence, wherein I will ask for all the documents and everything and anything about your company. And you can also ask information about my company. A data room will be set up basically. And the third party, other than you and me, the third party to the data room will be and investment banker, empaneled due diligence company like a Big Four audit company or something like that. So that is why there are many opportunities in Big Fours to go for due diligence process. I'm talking about Big Four, but any audit firm, any good audit firms is into due diligence as one line of business. Transaction advisory, due diligence, these kind of roles are there, right?
Auditing basically
Hmm?
Auditing basically the valuations, the modeling, the one example is being like for your manager who's reviewing the models also. That will be like auditing only, right?
Yeah,
For
that
any
is
company.
an auditing, but that is not due diligence. That is just
No,
checking
due
the numbers and
diligence
formulas.
is, yeah, it's a
But it is much
separate
more.
line.
It is much more deeper, Chandni. The due diligence is much more deeper. You need to have a much more knowledge. You are not just sitting on
No,
model and checking numbers. But yes, that is also due diligence.
due diligence involves, checking from the base, like
Correct.
if a company is
Anything and everything about the company. For
checking
example, the
everything,
address.
yes,
For example, you say
process,
the address.
profits,
Yeah, that for example, the address you
contracts.
have given is
Yes,
this. This is my address. They will check the truthfulness of the address. If you say that next year I'm going to have an order of 2,000 crore rupees from that client, they will go and check with that client. Are you going to give 2,000 crore rupees of order to this? Is there any discussion which has happened? So it can be anything with respect to business, any promises which you are making,
everything,
anything and
everything.
everything can be part of it.
Yes.
Sumit, but they can step back, right? Let's say even if the due diligence goes positive, there are no hiccups or anything come up. But let's say it took a long time, and during that time the company is not in a position to do, so they can step back, right? Or will there be any lawsuit or something?
What are you saying?
Let's say due diligence is positive, the company came into contract, due diligence is positive, there are no hiccups in the contract. But at that time, since the due diligence took long, maybe due to certain XYZ reason, can any of the party step back?
Yeah, you can. It's so simple. That is why I gave you a very basic example, right? It's an engagement, it's not marriage.
So it's like in this case, since it's an official process, is there a process of lawsuits or
So
penalty or
engagement is also an
something?
official process, Chandni. Honestly, it is an official process. Isn't it an official process?
Yes, yes, but there is no penalty, right? You gave examples. So similarly,
Yeah,
in
so
this
same is
process
there is no
also,
penalty over here. That is what it is, right? You have see the penalty is not there, Chandni, because it's that simple. You haven't given securities and that person has not given money to you. So you haven't lost your security, that person hasn't lost his money. As simple as that, right? Yeah, but in a contract, you can say, "Ki, boss, if you take more than 6 months, then you, and if after that, if you say no, you will have to give some reputational damage because this news will become that public. It can be part of contract. That is not compulsory. That is not compulsory. That is the only thing I'm saying. It all is driven by contract. In contract, if it is written that no, if due diligence goes for 6 months, more than 6 months, the first basic thing is I can start prospecting again, right? Or second can be monetary, but that should be established at the time of entering into contract before the due diligence process. Got it? Okay. So that happens in the arranged marriages also, there are some marriages in which you have to give money, right? To give money, all kind of things are there, right? So there are some marriages in villages happens you have to give money to marry. Simple. So the groom's father will give to, or it can be other way around, money, right? So they can say if we at max will hold the engagement for 3 months. If you want to hold it for more than that, then you have to pay penalty. It can be something like that. Largely, it is not that big and penalty and all. Very minuscule. Okay, so I'm sharing a pitch sample with you. Just confirm me once you receive it on chat. If received, please download it. Have you received it? on the chat. Yeah, please download it. Can any one of you or whosoever has received it, can you put it on your WhatsApp group also? So that if somebody has not received through this chat, can at least download it from their WhatsApp. Can any one of you do that? And please do not use the chat box here. With me, it's very simple. Unmute and talk. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you, Vasudevan.
Sumit, I have not received it in a chat.
No, so if you haven't received it in chat, then wait for 2 minutes. Vasudevan is sharing it on WhatsApp group. Okay.
Okay, Sumit. Okay, yeah.
So due diligence is very important, Chandni, and if you do not do due diligence properly, it can be disastrous. It has happened. There's a book which is written on it. In case of Ranbaxy, it happened big time, right? The Japanese company Daiichi Sankyo had to bear a lot of loss. So Daiichi Sankyo has a very good reputation, Chandni. And Ranbaxy has a very bad reputation. But it wasn't a known fact in 2007-6. Then back then it was Ranbaxy had a good reputation only on paper. So people didn't know that what exactly they are doing and all, right? So that is why. There is a book written on it, Chandni, and I would highly recommend for everyone to read it. Bottle of Lies, something like that. It's a Bottle of Lies. So this is a book which is written purely on Ranbaxy. Okay. To read it, and you'll understand that why due diligence is very important. And this book is written by Catherine Eban, but Catherine is telling the story from the perspective of Mr. Thakur. There's someone with the name Mr. Thakur who worked in Ranbaxy, and then he became the whistleblower, right? So if you write whistleblower Thakur, so he became the whistleblower, Dinesh Thakur, whistleblower. Yeah.
The Director and Global Health, Research, Information and Portfolio Management at Ranbaxy Laboratories from 2003 to 2005. Ranbaxy was at that time India's largest generic drug manufacturer. He was responsible for managing research and development, information for generic drug development, manufacturing and commercial operations. In addition, he implemented automated systems to capture research and development data for global regulatory submissions, compliance, and manufacturing. He was recognized with the Joe A. Calloway Award for Civic Courage in 2014 and is the recipient of the ACFE's Cliff Robertson Sentinel Award. He was named Whistleblower of the Year by Taxpayers Against Fraud in 2013. While at Ranbaxy, Dinesh discovered that the company was falsifying drug data and violating current good manufacturing practices and good laboratory practices. He resigned in 2005 after reporting the fraud to company management and worked with authorities for 8 years to unravel the complicated trail of falsified records and dangerous manufacturing practices. In May 2013, Ranbaxy pleaded guilty to multiple criminal felonies and agreed to pay $500 million to resolve criminal and civil allegations of falsified drug data and systemic manufacturing violations resulting in substandard and unapproved drugs. The groundbreaking settlement is the largest of its kind against a generic drug manufacturer. Dinesh, let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
Why did your manager, Dr. Rajinder Kumar, assign you to investigate the extent to which the company had provided made-up data to seek the WHO pre-qualification. How did these suspicions arise?
So Dr. Kumar, who I call Raj, when he was just about 2 months into the company at that point in time. And what had happened was that the WHO inspectors, they had come in and they had inspected, the process by which Ranbaxy was making these antiretroviral drugs. If you remember at that point in time, we were dealing with this HIV epidemic. And what was happening was that the US government essentially had established a program to say that you could procure these medicines at a very low cost compared to what they're made in the US to be distributed in Africa, where it was an epidemic at that point in time. But the issue that came up there was that, look, how will we know that these are all good quality, right? I mean, the perceptions always existed, generic drugs, obviously cheap versions. And so while the program was being set up to say that you have to have the US FDA stamp of approval, one of the things that Indian generic companies said, hey, look, you know what? We go by the WHO pre-qualifications process. There is another world body that understands how drugs are made, what quality means, right? If we go through their certification process and they tell us that our drugs are of good quality, you should be okay with that, right? And so the WHO had sent 2 inspectors, Dr. Andre Vanziel and Dr. Olivier Leblaye. They had come to inspect, what kind of patient data was being generated to ensure that these drugs were bioequivalent. So this is a technical term. What this means is that when drugs are first sort of, introduced into the market, the company that actually makes it for the first time, which is called an innovator company because they innovate around this, right? They go through a thorough process, a clinical process of establishing that these drugs are, effective in the patient population that they're being used. The standards that the US had set out at that point in time basically said that as a generic manufacturer, you don't have to repeat all of those studies because they're very, very expensive. What you do need to do is, in a small group of healthy volunteers, if you can replicate the way that this drug works, right, compared to the innovator drug, then we're fairly confident that you know what you're doing. So these 2 inspectors had come to work, to inspect the process. And
the plants themselves or the data?
No, so typical what happens is that when they come to inspect, they look at all aspects of it. But mostly data, because it's very hard to see what is really happening in the plant. You go into manufacturing facility, you see steel tanks, you see pressure gauges, right? I mean, you're really not going to be able to see much, but you do obviously see the manufacturing data. So they had gone to this lab that Ranbaxy was using at that point called Vimta Laboratories. It was based in Hyderabad at that point in time. And what they found was that while the Ranbaxy had submitted data saying that we have tested it on 95 patients, they actually were only 2 patients. They copied and pasted all that data of 2 patients over and over again to say that, hey, look, we have tested it on this cohort of 95 patients. One of the first things that had happened was that was highlighted to South Africa because, that was one of the countries that we were going to be dispensing these drugs. The US was going to send these drugs to African countries. South Africa was one of the countries that was going to receive that. So the MCC, the South African regulator, basically highlighted that and said, look, there's a problem here. We don't believe that you're doing it adequately enough for you to be able to tell us that these drugs are of good quality. So Raj, who was 2 months into his job at that point in time, was told, you need to go talk to these people in Johannesburg, in South Africa, and assure them that don't worry, we have it under control. So he did go, along with the person who was heading the clinical piece in the company. And while on the way back, Raj was told by this person that, look, what you are doing here is not limited just to these HIV drugs. So Raj asked him, well, what do you mean by that? Right? What do you mean by, it's not limited? He said, well, it's a lot more pervasive. So when he got back to India, that was the first time that he called me up and said, I need to know the true extent of this problem.
But when he went to Africa, at that time he found that there was malpractice.
Well, the reason he was sent to Africa was essentially to assure to pacify the South African regulator, MCC, basically saying, look, we know what we are doing. We know that WHO has found some problems. We'll fix it. Don't worry about it. I'm the head of R&D, because he was the head of R&D at that point in time. And he had a lot of credibility, right? So they sent him to South Africa essentially to sort of do damage control at that point in time. He was just about 2 months into the company, so he had no idea what was really going on.
So in The Bottle of Lies, in Elizabeth Eban's book, she writes that the inspection conducted by a French inspector named Olivier Leblay had uncovered astonishing fraud.
Correct.
Many of the patients Vimta had enrolled in the study did not seem to exist.
Correct.
Much of the data purporting to measure the drug's dissolution in the patient's blood appeared to have been fabricated.
Yes.
The graphs from tests on entirely different patients were identical, as though photocopied. As Thakur, which is you, read, his jaw dropped. There could be no assurance that the medicine had even been given to actual patients,
Correct.
owing to the lack of documentation. And there was no evidence that Ranbaxy had monitored the work or audited the results as was required. This level of fraud meant that the drugs destined for terribly sick AIDS patients had essentially been untested. So on the plane back to India, this discussion took place about the extent of how widespread this fraudulent practice was within the company. So that was when your team, you created 6 project managers.
No, so I already had these project managers. I mean, we were looking at, so my job, the reason I was hired by Ranbaxy was because this company they had no idea what they were doing. I mean, it was essentially run by the seat of the pants.
Who had no idea?
Ranbaxy as a company, they had no idea what they were doing, in the sense that, you know, they had in their business units, they had head of United States business, they had a head of European business, they had a head of India business, they had a head of Latin America business, but these people essentially had no coordination among them. So they would go, so there was one research and development group within the company. So all of these business groups would go and make demands of the research and development saying, we need these products because that's how
we need these drugs.
We need these drugs because the market needs those drugs, right? Now, there's only one research and development group. How do they cross-prioritize? If the person from the US comes and says, I need you to work on this, and the person from Latin America comes and says, I need you to work on this, how does the person who's responsible for R&D prioritize those 2 requests? Which comes first, right? So obviously there has to be some criteria to say, how much money are we going to make? You know, if you develop a drug for the US, are we going to make more money? Or what kind of competition exists in these markets? Are we going to be the only drug that is available at that point in time? Because then obviously you'll command a higher price, right? If there is more of a competition, then clearly, you know, our pricing capability is going to be lower than perhaps if you were the only person at that point in time. How difficult is it to make that drug? Because not all drugs are easy to make, right? Some drugs take a long time to develop because you're trying to reverse engineer the innovator's formulation. They don't give you the recipe, right? For, you know, the company like Novartis or Merck, they won't come and say, hey, you know what? Now that our patent is expired, here is, take our book, go back and then you can make this. It doesn't happen that way. So you have to reverse engineer these things and figure out how to make it. Some are a lot more complex. So you have to look at that and say, this may take me 2 years, 3 years to develop, right? As against another request that perhaps I can do it in 6 months. So these are kind of things that actually had to be done. Until I came around, this company actually had no platform to do this. So my job was essentially to figure out how do I bring all of these people onto the same page along with the management of the company, because ultimately they're the decision makers, right? But ensure that all that information is provided on one piece of paper so that you can weigh which request needs to be funded, because at the end of the day, the management has to fund research and development.
Now,
right?
this conversation that you had with an assistant, where you asked what percentage of the dossier submitted to regulators contained data that did not match what the company had on file.
Right.
And it says in the book the assistant was evasive. It varies from region to region. So you asked him give me an estimate in each region.
Yeah.
How about in the United States? And the assistant thought for a moment and he said perhaps between 50 or 60%.
Correct.
Ranbaxy had faked over half its dossiers to the FDA.
That's correct.
And that was one of the better regions.
Correct.
Now, how about Europe, you asked? He said about the same.
We'll see, yeah.
And India, after some hemming and hawing, the assistant answered 100%. Now,
Correct.
that to us and the viewers is the story. That Ranbaxy was selling drugs to India, which were 100% on fake data, not tested, with some with adulteration, some with even found with blue glass, chips of glass in it,
Yes.
some with wax and oil.
Correct.
For the solution to get mixed properly. And this was done in a planned, systemized way,
Yes.
institutionalized in fact within the company. Now, when your managers came back with the report of the altered tests,
Yes.
with higher impurities than was approved, and faked dissolution studies, they had also crushed up brand name drugs
Yep.
into capsules, so those could be tested in lieu of the company's own drugs.
So I hope Chandni would have got a message and everyone would have got a message that even a big brand can be doing all this fraud, and if you don't do due diligence, you will never get to know. Right? So even as a part of due diligence also, until unless you meet an honest man like Dinesh Thakur, you will never get to know what is that they're cooking. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right? This whole was happening parallelly when person from Daiichi Sankyo from Japan were coming and meeting with the management of the company to buy out the company. And the management never said anything about these events, that we are doing this kind of fraud. Because Daiichi was a very honest company. It was a very honest company, right? So it wouldn't have bought any company like this. So due diligence, Chandni, is the backbone of any deal. You need to understand that. And when we say due diligence, Chandni, it is not that you are meeting everyday Lord Rama who would always say truth to you. So you have to become smart enough to find out patterns, to find out reasons for any mistakes, any falsification, any fake items presented to you. You need to be smart to identifying what is fake, which they are giving to us as documentary proof. Even after that, there are chances that due diligence doesn't happen properly because of frauds in the system. You know, for example, in banks, it's very common, Chandni. Nowadays,
Data
it's not that
manipulation
common,
is
but it happens.
very, data manipulation is like a very small thing for these people, and they do frequently.
Yeah. So when I was working in a bank, I will not take the name because I worked with 3 banks. You can identify which bank, but it's fine. So when I was working in a bank, a very senior credit manager, who was heading the entire Delhi North Credit. Under him, there was this relationship manager who made the report of a plant visit, and it was a very descriptive report. That the plant has these many machineries, and the left hand side this is there, and the right hand side this is that, and the entire map they had built of the plant and attached with that report. And he said that everything is fine. Based on which credit manager had approved a 20 crore rupees loan to that company. And after 6 months, the company stopped paying EMI, the installment and interest. Term loans, so there was no EMI. Interest, they stopped paying interest. And then the collection team of the bank went and visited. They find that at the address, it was a barren land. No factory, no machinery, nothing. So due diligence, if it's not done at the right time, it can cost anyone and everyone. Right? So it's very important that you do due diligence. Sometimes it can be difficult, but you have to do it. If you don't do it poorly, so in that case, Axis Bank lost. So the bank lost 20 crore rupees, right? So it happens like that. Okay. Due diligence is very important. Since you asked the question, do read this book. and do watch this video fully. He explained everything in this video. Dinesh Thakur, the first whistleblower of our country, I can say. After him, the whistleblower as a concept has got weightage in our country. So by now, I guess everyone would have received the pitch sample which I have shared with you. Can you guys please confirm?
Yes.
Yes, Sumit.
Yes,
So it's a pitch sample which has been created representing a seller. Assuming you are an investment banker, for example, this is an investment bank. The name of investment bank is written as XYZ, but I would tell you this is not XYZ. This is Avendus. Avendus as a company, if you have heard, it's a big company in our country, Avendus. It has investment banking, it has institutional broking, it has wealth management, and it has asset management, right? So this is the investment bank, Avendus, who is representing over a company called ABC as per this. ABC Water. But I must tell you, this is not ABC. It's the actual name of the company is Driplex. Driplex. It's an actual company, Driplex. I'll show you. Driplex Water Engineering. You can see, right? Driplex Water Engineering. So Avendus is representing Driplex in order to sell Driplex. So it has created this pitch document in order to share it with it has created this pitch document in order to share it with the various prospects who, if gets interested, can come back to the investment bank and ask for more detail and meetings, right? And can enter into a pre-due diligence agreement kind of thing, right? I want you to go from slide number 17 or 16 rather, 16 to 42. Slide by slide, I want to go through. Yeah. 16 to 42, no, 44. Slide number 16 to 44. I want you to go through from slide number 16 to 44. Am I audible clearly? And are my instructions clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Sumit.
Yes, sir.
Right. I want you to go slide by slide and read what is written over there. I must tell you, company Driplex belongs to water industry. And in the slide before 16, that is the first 15 slide, it is investment bank talking about itself, that who we are. Okay, from slide number 16, they are talking about the opportunity, and the opportunity is nothing but Driplex. So just look at it, that how an investment banker who is representing a seller is representing seller's story, so that it can generate enough interest from prospective buyers. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? And mind it, guys, you will have to make a pitch document like this as a set of your next project, for which the timeline will be 1 month or 20 days. We'll decide that at the end of the session. But so you will have to create a pitch like this. Keep that in your mind and go through it. Is it clear? See, what are the key things which are to be presented if you are representing a company as an opportunity to prospective buyers, and you have to get enough interest from prospective buyers. So take out time and go through it. Slide number, which slides you need to go? Slide number 16 to slide number
44.
44. 44. Yeah. Go through it.
We'll take 10 minutes break and then continue.
All right, that is fine. You can take 10 minutes break, and after which going through these slides would at least take 20 minutes. I don't want you to just go like this, not in this speed. Don't do this, right? I want you to go from slide by slide and try to understand what's written over. At least it will take 20 minutes, but yeah, we'll see how much time it takes. Even it's okay even if it takes more. All right. So what is the status? How many slides you have reached? Can you tell me one by one, Chandni, Maitri, which slides you are on right now?
Sumit, I'm on slide 30, 30.
30. So you, I guess you are very fast. You're going very fast or you're reading outside. Okay. What about others? Kishore Kumar, Maitri.
I am on 25th.
25th.
Sir, I'm on 32.
32. All right, guys, carry on, carry on. All right, what is the status now? One by one, tell me. Mr. Barker, which slide are you on? Guys, am I audible?
Yes, Sumit.
Yeah, Sumit, you're audible.
Can you confirm, guys, one by one, which slide you guys are on?
I'm in slide 30.
30?
It's about to end.
Courage, 30,
39.
39. Vasudevan?
It's 41 valuation papers.
Okay, and Maitri, you said what? 30?
I said 30 only, Sumit.
Okay, carry on. All right, Maitri. Which slide you have reached now?
Sumit, 35.
Reached valuation, right?
Yeah.
What about others? Ashwini, Nikhil, Sakshi, Sanjay. What is the status?
Yeah, Sumit, I have almost finished, but there are topics which I would like to discuss.
Okay. Which is like, let's start that. Let's start those topics which you like to discuss. Let's start from there.
Basically, on the valuation, I think before that, it is basically about the industry, how the industry is, who are the the competitors, who are the potential buyer, who could, what is how it is placed in the industry. So this is more like that. And then they started on the valuation, and they adopted, I think, 3 approaches. So on those approaches, I would like to understand more, because there are certain terms which I'm not familiar with.
Which are the terms? Tell me.
I think the way they calculated that EV, and then based on that they calculated the equity value there. So those.
Can you tell me the slide number? I'll go there and take it.
No, I think we will discuss exactly. Yeah, this one is the sensitivity analysis. How did they carry out? So they assume certain terminal growth, and they also assume the this weighted average capital cost, right?
Okay.
Then they arrived on certain equity value.
So that is what
Right.
the range they have discussed over here, right?
Yeah. And what is this control premium? What is this scarcity premium, which they have referred, here and also they have referred that scarcity premium. So what all this about? What is beta here? Yeah.
So you will get to know this, and once I'll tell you, it will be very easy. So I start with control premium, right?
Right.
Now, it is like this, Nikhil, that when you buy few shares of the company of Hero MotoCorp, right? You do not get any control on the management, right?
Right.
But tomorrow, if you plan to acquire 40-45% of the company, somebody can say now that you will be controlling the company also, and I'll charge premium to sell that many stake to you.
Right.
Somebody who's buying this company is going to buy 80% minimum, right? If you had to see 44 slide number transaction structure they have said. They're given transaction structure.
Right. I think
there are only two options.
Yes.
One, either you buy 100% or you buy at least 80%.
Majority, yeah.
Seller is giving you only two options. If you want to be a prospective buyer and bid for this company, you have only two options. Either you apply the bid for buying 100%, or you apply a bid of buying at least 80%.
Right.
Right. So that means after this purchase or after this transaction, you will be owning in full control this company. Even 80% is full control, right?
Right.
So that is what the premium they're asking for, giving that they are giving the entire ownership control to you. So if you want to become an owner, and control premium would generally be in the case of strategic investors, not in the case of financial investors like you and me. So we buy shares of the company. You also must be buying shares of the company, right?
Right.
Or through mutual funds or directly. But you do not get categorized as a strategic investor. You get categorized as financial investor.
Financial.
But when you when you are planning to sell your company to a strategic investor, you need to understand the perspective is different. A financial investor might not pay a high price, but a strategic investor get ready to pay a high price because he see some future benefit. He sees to derive some future benefit from the pure business perspective, not from the perspective of money. That, for example, you buy Hero MotoCorp as a strategic investor to take advantage of all the dealers and distributors network of Hero MotoCorp. If you are a TVS Motor and you are planning to buy Hero MotoCorp, the objective is to take advantage of all the dealers and distribution network of Hero MotoCorp all the technologies which Hero MotoCorp has. You want to take advantage of that, and its associate companies like Arthur is also one of its associate company, right? So Arthur, so that is what the perspective is. On the other hand, when you buy as a financial investor, you buy shares of Hero MotoCorp. The objective is not to take advantage of dealer distribution network of Hero MotoCorp. The objective is very simple. जब भाव अच्छा आएगा तो बेच दिया जाएगा, right? So right now the shares are available at 2240, 2250, and it has earlier it has touched once, it has touched 3500 also. So you are forcing that the company can further go back to 3000, 3200 level. So I will sell it then. So it's pure money benefit you won't take it.
Right.
So the seller also take advantage of it. That if a strategic buyer is ready to buy me, that means the strategic buyer is seeing a good advantage in future. So let me ask for a strategic premium. That is basically control premium, right? So that is what control premium is. Another one you said is scarcity premium.
Yes, yes.
A scarcity premium is if you open up your mind and you start looking for opportunities in this water treatment 7 years back, I'm telling you, you wouldn't have found more than 3 companies in this entire industry. One is Vatek Wabag, another one is Ion Exchange, and another one is couple of companies here and there. But as a standalone water treatment plant will not be there. There might be few companies which is there into water treatment, but as a one of the business line in infrastructure, they would be a pure play infrastructure player in which they would be building road projects also, and they would be taking water construction project also.
Right. I've seen in the, I think in the in the list they have put Nagarjuna Construction and other companies also, which they are basically EPC companies. They do any kind of road construction also. They do metro projects also, XYZ also, and that is why their revenue is so high, comparable revenues if you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over here, pure play water dedicated companies, if you are to find, I can see one which is Ion Exchange.
Right.
After this, I don't see any company which is pure.
I think this is Hindustan Dore something is also
ये
kind
हो
of
सकती है हिंदुस्तान,
this one is
ये वाली हो सकती है.
right.
बाकी तो प्योर प्ले और दिख नहीं रही है. एक अपना वाटेक वाबाग इसमें है नहीं. इस
वाटेक वाबाग है, ऊपर था.
वही कह रहा हूँ, इस वाले कंपैरिजन में नहीं है, बट ऊपर वाले में है, वो जो इंडस्ट्री वाले में है.
हाँ.
I'm going to that slide only. ये यहाँ पर कहीं पे है.
हाँ, यहाँ पे.
यहाँ पर ये वाटेक वाबाग is also one of the companies which is into water treatment.
Right.
Solely water treatment. Baki, all these companies are water treatment. So scarcity. If you want to enter into, for example, you are Nagarjuna Construction and you want to focus on developing more in water treatment, and that is what you want. You don't want to buy any infra company. You just, because all other places you are already expert. It's just in water construction or water related plants or water treatment plants you want to expand. Then you will only look for water oriented company, right? You will not look for another Nagarjuna Construction which is into diversified field of infrastructure. That would not make any sense. So that is what scarcity premium. Now if you see today, you will not find a scarcity premium for these companies, but at least back then it was there when Replex was under this. And again, this is a valuation approach from the perspective of seller. You need to understand. So जब अपन बेचने ही जा रहे हैं, तो you will ask the best price, right? Because you will start from the best price, the negotiation, even better than best price, you will start the negotiation from there.
Right. So it means if we add 20-25% control premium and over it 20-25% scarcity premium. So from the actual value, the buyer is expecting 50% more, right?
Yes.
Or at least they will
seller
pitch
is
for it.
expecting 50% more.
Yeah. Seller, seller, sorry. Not
expecting 54% more, and it is also done in that's the second opinion which I have given you. It is also done. They know that nobody will pay them. They know negotiation is going to happen. So why to start from fair value? If anyways, if negotiation is going to happen, then seller would always start from a value higher than fair value, and buyer will always start from a value lower than high value.
But Sumit, in this, I mean, in this valuation approach, they have actually based on one is the valuation approach of the companies which are into the similar kind of field, whether it is local companies or global companies. The other, I think, the second one is the transactions which has happened in this industry in the, I think, past, and the third is this discounted cash flow. So where they have actually, I could not find the promoters holding value. You know how much shares they hold and what is the value of that.
I guess you'll have to repeat your question.
I'm saying that, I mean, they have gone for three approaches here. Yes, three valuation or valuation
Global
approach.
peer, global peers, global transaction, and
DCF, right?
Yeah.
But इसमें कहीं भी I couldn't find कि उनका equity है कितना अभी. अगर if we go into their balance sheet and see that how much equity they have in their books, वो कहीं नहीं
These
दिखा इसमें.
companies, the transactions you're talking about?
No, for this company, the company which is we are talking about, ABC Water Company.
Okay. So that means
Either I have missed or I, you know.
नहीं तो मतलब ये जो सारी valuation हुई है, this entire valuation has been happened, right? It has happened. So the company has been valued 2,700 million. तो उसमें book value क्यों चाहिए आपका? I'm not able to understand that what I'm saying.
No, I want to see that maybe against their book value, how much the valuation is there that the bank has done.
Okay. So for that, you can go extend next level. For example, if you as a buyer get interested, you call them and you ask them, I want the actual financial statements. Because on actual financial statements, they have given only 3 line items, right? Income statement ka 3 line items they have given somewhere. I'll show you. So it's kind of a teaser. On actual financials, they have given only 3 years data.
Right,
So
they have given the sales growth and sales.
Only 3 line items: sales, EBITDA, and PAT.
And PAT.
This is what teaser is, right? They will not open up everything in front of you until unless you go for a pre due diligence agreement.
And it's a privately owned company because you see 100% promoter holding is there, I guess. So you won't even find anything on the internet also that, you know.
Yeah, you will not find internet, and obviously you'll have to ask, you'll have to go. If you're interested, the first line of negotiation will happen. On the value, you will log the value, and then you will sign up agreement, and then you'll go for due diligence. In that due diligence, they will provide you anything and everything. And if you find anything they are presenting over here is not making sense, you can say no based on your due diligence. You always have right to say no. You haven't paid anything, right? It's just you're logged so that they stop searching for a buyer, you stop searching for a seller.
Right.
In fact, nothing, it's not only book value of equity, nothing on balance sheet has been given. Right?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I mean, I just wanted to see how much they actually.
They can give you projections to. So this is a teaser more than, see, Nikhil, more than an actual financial annual report. It is a teaser. It is a teaser which is telling you all the good things about the company, right?
Right.
Or what is the value and all. So this is there. If you get interested seeing it, you ask for a meeting to discuss, preliminary discuss, enter into a non-confidential agreement that you will not share all this confidential information with anyone, and you will be made part of the data room. And in the data room, all the data they will make available.
Okay.
Over here, that it doesn't make any sense for them to give all the financial statements.
Yeah. And one very important statement, I mean, which is there, that they have shown all the sales growth, but they are putting the PAT on the same percentage. So they are expecting to grow the company at a rate of 25% plus
But
annual.
they want to keep a PAT margin same, right?
Same, yes.
Both of your industry to industry or company to
Industry.
company, Nikhil, differ karega, right? Maybe this business is pure. There is no
But-
operating leverage in this business.
Yes, but what they in the initial slides, what they have talked about basically three things. One was, I mean, there are two major industrials. I mean, there are two major sectors. One is industrial sector. The other is a municipal sector,
municipal
right?
sector, right?
And they have also come up with three, kind of a business segment. One business segment is that there are new projects which will come, greenfield projects. The second was, I think, they have talked about the O&M, which is operation and maintenance, which is highly profitable. And the third one was basically the rehabilitation, kind of a modernization of the existing power plant. So, which is another, which is another
kind of
business.
subscription based, right? O&M is subscription based.
Yes.
Maintenance is it is directly linked with industrial maintenance capex, as and when they want to go for improvement, just because you are subject matter expert, so you will be given first priority, and you are O&M partner also.
Right, and third, which there are that जो already existing plant है, which have gone old or sick plant है, or there is further augmentation required, renovation, right?
That's what I'm saying. You are O&M partner and you are expert of it, so obviously they will first come to you rather than going to anyone else for renovation.
Right. So on this, I'm trying to link it with respect to the PAT. So what they told in the earlier slide was that they see a good opportunity in this O&M, because currently India does not, there is this kind of inherent reluctance in the industrial clients also, that they want to do it themselves. But in the future, they expect that they will give more and more to these companies itself, who is going to set up the plant for them, right?
Correct.
And the third was also that the government will also willing to work on a PPP model, a public-private partnership model, where they would like to give it on a, once you get an old plant, they will give it to you for renovation and everything, and they would like you to improve the efficiency and the revenue and the profit also. So I was thinking that they should also increase the PAT margin, but they kept it same here.
Okay, so which becomes a point of discussion with the company, right? That aren't there any operating leverage? There are 2 points to take it from here. The owner himself is saying there is no operating leverage, right? That is one thing. And second is, can you become an owner of this company and bring operating leverage in this business?
Okay.
Or the third is what you said, is the strategy is different and that is not reflected in the financial. Because obviously O&M should give higher PAT margin. Renovation should be second, and third one is the construction business, right?
Right.
So that is for you to have a discussion with them based on it.
And how do they calculate this EV, which is enterprise value? They have mentioned it somewhere with respect to, some sales. If you will go on.
एक तो जो है वो एग्जैक्ट ईवी वैल्यू पब्लिक लिस्टेड कंपनीज की होगी, रेफरिंग टू दैट?
नहीं इन्हीं पे यहाँ, हाँ, इसमें कहीं पे दिया हुआ है उन्होंने कंपैरिजन में ना।
एक तो ये मार्केट कैप है, ये पब्लिक लिस्टेड कंपनीज है, इनकी ईवी तो वी कैन इमीडिएटली फाइंड आउट बिकॉज दीज आर पब्लिकली लिस्टेड कंपनीज, तो द डेटा इज अवेलेबल. EV is nothing but market cap plus debt minus cash and cash equivalent, right?
Okay.
That's enterprise value. और कहीं पे आपने देखा है तो tell me कहाँ पे आपने देखा है exactly?
They have taken some, ratios.
Valuation में देखा आपने?
Valuation में देखा था, यहाँ पे ये. The consolidated transaction multiples, they are, yes, EV divided by sales.
So,
but they have.
ये वाला ना, ये exactly किसका है देखिए, just look at it. Existing transaction which have happened. That means what? All acquisition target which has acquired.
Right.
By acquirer.
Right.
At what multiple or what valuation those transaction had happened. तो ये कहाँ से आया आप ये पूछ रहे हो, राइट? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल ये तो इस डील के ऊपर जाओगे तो ही मिलेगा. You have to do research. For example, if you'll find most of these numbers are not there. Only in one deal the numbers are there, because they would have given it as a part of their आर्टिकल, जब भी ये डील होती है तो अनाउंसमेंट होता है ना,
Right, right,
the deal gets announced that
right.
IVRCL is buying Hindustan Door Oliver at an enterprise value of 16 million with having an EBITDA of 1 million. If you remember, once I had opened एक डील, मैंने आपको दिखाई भी थी कि ऐसे पब्लिक लिस्टेड कंपनीज की डील डिक्लेयर होती है तो उसमें वो मल्टीपल कभी कभी दिखाता है. I don't know if you guys or someone else, I'll show you. जैसे अभी ये डेटा कहाँ मिलता है, जैसे आपको ढूंढना पड़ता है. जैसे कोई पब्लिक लिस्टेड कंपनी इफ इट इज एक्वायरिंग समथिंग, ठीक है, so it will tell that I acquired this company having this EBITDA and this multiple. जैसे अभी for example healthcare global had acquired healthcare global acquired, कोई तो हॉस्पिटल एक्वायर किया था उन्होंने.
Sumit, just just it came to my mind how this, that this technology company who acquires, like WhatsApp was a kind of acquired by Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And these new startups which come up, and these are taken over by the big companies like Google might have taken, acquired a lot of companies. How do they, how do they go for the valuation? Because do we have any case study on that? Because sometimes their valuation, this I think this scarcity, this the one, this control margin or
control premium.
Yeah, control premium. Sorry, control premium or scarcity premium. That value could vary. It could be in much higher, right? There. If a company acquires a company, another company which is much smaller in size, but it has certain patent which is of very high value and a very growth, have a very high growth potential in the future.
So see, एक तो क्या होता है, in cases of startups, it is the previous transaction which plays the maximum role in most of the cases, and the transaction might not be in the similar industry. For example, if I am acquiring Zomato and I don't see any transaction happening because the industry itself is nascent, I will not mind using Uber transaction if anything happened with Uber or any new age company which has been acquired recently and the data is public. I would not mind using the multiple at which the transaction has happened. Irrespective, they do not belong the same industry. I can go to that level because ultimately the company is technology oriented, right? So that basic theme of technology is there. And then there are some companies which publish this data of premiums and all. So one such company is Duff and Phelps. So it gives, so I'll show you. So first I was showing you that for example,
Yes. Yeah, let's finish this. Yeah.
हाँ, तो ये आर्टिकल आया, तो इसमें कैसे उसने बोला है कि क्या ये कंपनी हेल्थकेयर ग्लोबल हैज ऑन मंडे सेड इट हैड acquired majority in Suchirayu Healthcare Solution for an undisclosed sum. अब ये undisclosed था तो यहाँ पर undisclosed है. For example, if some transaction would have happened where the company has disclosed that I have bought 60% at 3 crore rupees. So that means what is the value of the company?
60% at 3
crore. So 100% in what crore? Somewhere around 5 crores, right?
5 crore, right.
So 5 crore वैल्यू हो गई और उस कंपनी का प्रॉफिट भी बता देता है कि इस कंपनी का भी ये प्रॉफिट चल रहा है. डिपेंड करता है उनको कितना बताना है. You need to understand. That is why you will find that not all transaction has data over here. These transactions have happened. Actually, this company has been bought by this company. This company has been bought by this company. But the acquirer has not disclosed financial information, and that is why these informations are not there. Whereas in case of IVRCL must have disclosed all this information that I have bought 70% stake and what value, and so that means what is my at what EV by EBITDA and at what EV by sales. So many times it gets declared. 80% of the times it doesn't get declared. That is why this multiple method is something which is very difficult in the sense in capturing. The utility is very difficult to see because you do not get much data. So the method is there, but if you get data, then only you can use method, because this method is very significant. If you look at it, you are looking at those multiples at which recently the transaction have happened. So if somebody has given 10 crore rupees for 1% stake in any company, and ours is a similar company, so my company should also be sold at that valuation. That is the basic precedent transaction. You can call it precedent transaction method. Wherein recently the transaction have happened and at what valuation it has happened, that valuation is going to give you a lot of insight, right? With respect to control and all this data, there are many companies which publishes this data. Obviously, they are paid databases, so we will not be able to see it, but I'll show you. There's something called as E-lock. And there's another thing called as D-long. Discount for lack of control and discount for lack of marketability. When you invest into private companies and you do not take controlling stake, Nikhil, when you take controlling stake, you have to pay control premium, right? Similarly, when you do not pay control, then you pay, you give what? You ask for discount for lack of control, that I will be owning only 5% and which will not give me any control. For example, you are a private equity firm, Nikhil. For a TC, which is a private equity firm you know of? Tell me. Goldman
Sachs, yeah.
So Goldman is a private equity company also. It's an investment banking also.
Investment
As a
banking.
private equity company, if you are investing as a venture capital, you are investing into any startup and you are buying only 5%. That doesn't give you any controlling stake, right? And on the top of it, you don't want controlling stake because you are a financial investor. Simple, right? Then you will apply a discount for lack of control. Like in this case, you are buying controlling stake, so you are paying control premium. Here, you are not buying controlling stake, and that is why you are asking for what? As a buyer, you are asking for what? Discount. For lack, because of being lack of control. So this is no, because you are buying minority interest in the privately held company. So if you are buying a minority interest in a privately held company, then you will not only ask for discount for lack of control, you will also ask for discount for lack of marketability. Why marketability, Nikhil? Because you will not be able to trade the shares that easily.
Because it's a privately held companies. Yeah.
So the formula for D-lock is nothing but 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus control premium. Okay. And this control premium will be, again, industry to industry will differ, and it will be based on a lot of discussion, but there are institutes who publish control premium data.
Okay.
One such is Duff and Phelps. We will not be able, I don't think we will be able to see it. Let's see.
Duff and Phillips.
Generally, this they have a software which we can use and see the control premium. But
yeah, this is they have put some book value of equity right here. So I mean, on this slide, I just saw that they have market value of equity and they have put also the book value of equity. So that way you can see the sort of comparison. Yeah.
Correct. But this is not control premium का है, ये cost of capital का है. Equity risk premium का data है. But trust me, you get these databases from this. But actually क्या होता है, मैंने कभी internet पे search नहीं किया है. Because or if you are having if you are a holder of softwares like Capital IQ, तो वहाँ पर क्या होता है, सिर्फ लिखना होता है, आ जाता है. Those are paid databases, right?
Right.
Duff and Phelps देता है, लेकिन वो फ्री में अपना ये देता है, क्या नाम है इसका, देख लेते हैं. कंट्रोल प्रीमियम डेटा उसको दामोदरन फ्री में देता है सर. इंडस्ट्री वाइज कंट्रोल प्रीमियम देता है। कंट्री रिस्क प्रीमियम एंड इक्विटी रिस्क प्रीमियम दिया हुआ है इसमें। Give me a second, please. Let me make a call. Forgot the source where we see control premium data. Hello.
Yeah, Sumit. Hello.
I just give me a second, Nikhil.
Yeah, no
Manish,
problem.
can you hear me? Hello. हाँ मनीष भाई, मेरे को बस एक बात बताओ मनीष भाई कि वो अपना कंट्रोल प्रीमियम वाला डेटा निकालते थे ना, वो कहाँ से निकालते थे? कोई डफन फेल्प्स का मर्जर स्टेट से निकालते थे। वो फ्री में नहीं देते ना डेटा, वो तो अपने पास सोर्स था उसका। फ्री नहीं होता ना, वो अपने को सोर्सेस बीवीआर रिसोर्स वाले से। ठीक है मनीष भाई, थैंक यू क्लास के बीच में फिर करता हूँ। So yeah, so I've just called my colleague.
Yeah.
Because I forgot कि कहाँ से exactly हम देते थे। तो ये एक वेबसाइट है BVR रिसोर्सेज, इसका हमारे पास डेटा सोर्स है। कोई कंट्रोल प्रीमियम का डेटा है, ये एक वेबसाइट देती है। दिस वेबसाइट गिव्स कंट्रोल प्रीमियम डेटा, median control premium, median minority discount. Now they have calculated this data based on previous transactions which have happened in which what control premium is paid in actual deals historically.
Okay.
On that they have giving us a chart of median. Now that is the reason that those data are not available publicly. Those data are not available publicly, which they have used, which BVR resources, business valuation resources, has used some data which is not available publicly, because the data belongs to private deals which have happened, right? As
Right.
publicly, what will be available is what? Like one example I saw, this company has acquired the other company at an undisclosed sum. Now then we don't know much of the details, right?
Right.
And that is why these companies, BVR resources, charge heavily for the subscribers. तो उनका ठीक है, अपने को एक चार्ट मिल गया है, because this is the older chart, so they are giving you median control premium paid by company on acquired companies. These are calculated on the actual acquired companies transaction.
Okay.
तो ये आपका आ गया डेटा। देखो दोनों है, माइनॉरिटी डिस्काउंट एंड कंट्रोल प्रीमियम।
Control premium. Yeah.
When you are going when you are acquiring minority, then you will pay, you will ask for discount as a buyer, and when you are buying control, then the seller will ask for control premium.
Right. And Sumit, they have also used this liquidity discount somewhere, which is
marketability discount. I just told you, na, marketability discount. There are two discounts.
It is
or
okay.
two premium.
Okay. So that
Generally,
is
with private companies, it's a case that you ask for marketability discount or discount for lack of marketability. Other words is that liquidity is not but marketability is nothing but marketability. How easily you can sell the stock and how easily you can purchase the stock.
Okay. So in a way that if you want to liquidate your asset,
so for example, for a company like ITC Nikhil, the liquidity discount will be 0.
Because nobody will buy the tobacco company.
No, because it is very easy to buy and sell ITC's companies.
Okay.
So there is no discount for marketability. There is no discount for marketability or liquidity discount, because it is very easy, because it is one of the most liquid stocks. Same goes for HDFC, same goes for Infosys. But if you are doing a bulk deal in a company with a market cap of 400 crores, even if it is a publicly listed company, ठीक है, बहुत सारी कंपनीज ऐसी जो कि 400 crores के नीचे होगी, publicly listed होगी. For example, healthcare global itself was a very low, मैं भी आपको दिखाता हूँ, 200 crore की कंपनी थी पहले.
Okay.
अभी थोड़ा बढ़ गया है. 3828 हो गया है, प्राइस बहुत बढ़ गया है।
Right.
$1974 करोड़ है ना। अभी ये भी लो वो है, क्या कहते हैं, स्लो मार्केट कैप कंपनी, ठीक है। But still I want, if for example, if I want a company which is 400 crore से lower, so we can create a screen over here. Full cut. Just read the names and tell me कौन सा हो सकता है, उसको खोलेंगे अपन, ठीक है। लो ऑन 10 year एवरेज अर्निंग, हाई क्वालिटी, मेरे को चाहिए लो मार्केट कैप वाला, है ना। इसको निकालो। सी ये कंपनी है, क्या है,
United Drilling.
अभी इसका ये
1000 है।
500, ये 400 करोड़ की कंपनी है ना, ये 400 करोड़ वाली कंपनी, ये कांची,
कांची।
ठीक है। दिस इज व्हाट 308 करोड़ कंपनी, ठीक है। एंड फॉर एग्जांपल, इफ यू आर 25% ओनर ऑफ दिस कंपनी एंड यू वांट टू सेल इन अ बल्क डील, देन यू विल हैव टू एंटर इनटू बल्क डील। मार्केट डील में नहीं बैठ पाओगे आप, बिकॉज आप इसका वॉल्यूम अगर देखोगे तो रोज के 10,000 शेयर से ज्यादा कम नहीं होता होगा, मैक्सिमम 10,000 शेयर ट्रेड होते होंगे। You'll see volume of the stock. For seeing the volume, we'll have to go to another website. यहाँ पर अगर है तो देख लेते हैं, कहीं पे वॉल्यूम लिखा हुआ है, नहीं है तो ठीक है, मतलब। But if you'll open your Zerodha account, you'll see now, you'll find that not more than 10,000 stocks would be traded on a daily basis, and you want to offload how much, 25%. Then you'll have to go for bulk deal. You know what is bulk deal? Bulk deal में क्या होता है, प्राइस पहले से डिसाइड होता है, टाइम पहले से डिसाइड होता है, दोनों एंट्री एक्सचेंज करती है, so it's an offline deal. Nikhil and Sumit will meet and decide कि boss market price is 308 or what is the market price, 789, the current market price, and I will buy it at 800 rupees, for example.
Okay.
And I'll buy 25% of your stake. And for example, you are holding 25%. तो ये डील पहले हो जाएगी, ठीक है। उसके बाद में एक टाइम डिसाइड कर दिया जाएगा कि it will happen on Monday 12:15 PM.
Okay.
उसको बोलते हैं बल्क डील।
बल्क डील,
ठीक है। अभी इस बल्क डील में क्या होगा कि ऑब्वियसली इफ आई एम अ बायर, आई विल आस्क कि बॉस 709 का प्राइस है, तुम 25% बेचने जाओगे तो तुमको 100 रुपए भी नहीं मिलेंगे। जैसे तुम सेल ऑर्डर लगाओगे, इसके कितने नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स है अभी देख लेते हैं। 25% शेयर्स मतलब कितना हो गया इसके, लेट्स सी हाउ मेनी नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स आर फ्लोटेड इन द मार्केट। कितना शेयर्स है, 43 लाख शेयर्स है। कितना शेयर्स है इसके, the company has only 43 lakh shares, and out of which you are going to sell how much, 25%.
25%. So around 10 lakhs, 10-11 lakhs.
10 lakhs के आसपास है ना।
Yeah.
इसके 10 लाख शेयर्स आप बेचने जाओगे, जिसकी वॉल्यूम 10,000 डेली बेसिस की वॉल्यूम होती है, उसके 10 लाख शेयर्स का आप सेल ऑर्डर डालोगे तो इसका प्राइस चला जाएगा 5 रुपए। Because price is nothing but an amalgamation of demand and supply, right?
Right.
Supply will increase excessively. Buyer wants to buy 10,000 and you want to sell 10 lakh. So you can understand 1/100 का price, 10,000 by 10 lakh कितना होता है, 1/100 हो जाता है, right?
Right.
तो 1/100 का मल्टीपल लगेगा। अब इसका प्राइस अगर 700 है तो 7 रुपए में बिकेगा, मोटा मोटा। We can be wrong, but exactly नहीं, थोड़ा ऊपर नीचे, but I'm just mathematically I'm trying to justify.
Okay.
Right? So obviously है कि you won't be able to sell 25% of it, even if it's a publicly listed company. So you can't say that any company is publicly listed, that means it doesn't have any marketability issue. It's not only about private company, even public companies can have marketability issue. Forget about 15% or 25%. Even if you hold 1% of the company, how much? For example, you are Rakesh Jumunda and you hold 1% of this company. Even in that case, for this company, you have to go for bulk. Because even 1% of this company will be how much?
For
40,000 shares.
40,000, yeah, 40,000.
Right? And daily basis volume देख ही लेते हैं. अभी ये क्या है कि ये इतना बड़ा बन रहा है ना, वॉल्यूम का बहुत बड़ा गेम है इसमें. You can see volume, you can see stockage. Now focus on the screen and tell me कहाँ दिख गई. अगर आपको दिखे तो मुझे बताना volume.
Okay.
Traded quantity.
Somewhere around 20,000 का what is this 20,000?
20,000 यहाँ पर है, ठीक है, और ये क्वांटिटी यहाँ पर है.
So it was around 7,000, 8,000.
Then इतना होगा 7,000 शेयर. आपको बेचना 40,000 शेयर. नॉर्मली 7,000 शेयर बिकते हैं, आपको 40,000 शेयर बिकने. यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कम से कम ये 300 रुपए पे 400 रुपए में आ जाएगा ये शेयर. राइट? Automatically.
So Sumit, even in the case of ITC or Infosys, even if they go, will they find such a big buyer who can, you know?
ITC में अभी ITC अपने आप ITC खोलते हैं. You'll get to know कि कितने शेयर्स ट्रेड होते हैं डेली बेसिस.
Because there this also will be some discount.
वहाँ पर कुछ शेयर देखो कितने शेयर्स ट्रेड होते हैं. 5 करोड़ है यहाँ ना, या 2.5 करोड़ तो नहीं तो भी 2 करोड़ के आसपास हो गया. 2 करोड़ शेयर बिक रहे हैं रोज के, वो कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. हाईली लिक्विड.
No, but this 5 crore is out of how this is the total number.
So ठीक है, मतलब वैसा आप बोल रहे हो तो even if they have to go for, if they sell 10%, 20% bulk deal से जाना पड़ेगा.
Right.
1% के आसपास बेचोगे तो फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. ठीक है, राइट. सो अभी उसका 1% इसका 1% में बहुत फर्क है. उसका 1% कितने करोड़ का होगा? 300 करोड़ की कंपनी है, उसका 1% 3 करोड़ का होगा.
Right.
इसका 1% बहुत महंगा होगा.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
only institutions will be involved in that, and
right.
I'm just trying to make a point to you that only institutions will be involved into that. And whenever institutions go, they have different brokers. उनके लिए brokers होते हैं investment banker. Zerodha के through deal नहीं करते वो.
Right.
Institutions would not deal with Zerodha. They will deal with institutional broker. JP Morgan को बोलेंगे बॉस मेरे को 5 करोड़ शेयर्स खरीद के दो ITC के.
Right.
Right. So एक सर्विस होती है इनके अंदर प्राइम ब्रोकरेज. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? प्राइम ब्रोकरेज. Service is only for hedge fund and institutional funds. Not even for HNIs. Okay.
Okay.
So that service is given by investment bankers to hedge fund and institute. But otherwise, as an individual, we can't be a customer of investment bank. So
Yes.
ये जो investment bank होते हैं, उनकी वो dealer भी होते हैं. They are called as dealer as well as broker. So institutional bank का तो ये क्या करते हैं, प्राइम ब्रोकरेज के अंदर उनको ब्रोकरेज प्रोवाइड करते हैं. वॉल्यूम परचेज करके देते हैं, वॉल्यूम सेल करके देते हैं एट अ वेरी चीप रेट. एंड along with they also become custodian. Generally custodian upon as a for a retail customer you don't have any custodian, you can't take a service of a custodian, but as an institutional and HNI you can take a service of custodian. That means if you have 50 crore rupees you can keep the cash with custodian bank rather than keeping at your home or with any bank like HDFC Bank. You will not prefer to keep it with HDFC Bank. Why? Because if anything happens, RBI provides only the insurance up to 5 lakh rupees, right?
Right.
Only 5 lakhs. That's it.
50 crore rupees, agar bank gets insolvent, you only get 5 lakh rupees. Rest is gone, right? So HNIs will not park their money with HDFC Bank. ठीक है, HDFC Bank में थोड़ा बहुत करेंगे, ऐसी बात नहीं है. But rather they would go for custodian bank. तो वो भी एक इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंकर भी हो सकता है. और कस्टोडियन बैंक कैसा होता है ना निखिल, की जनरली एक बैंक कैसा होता है कि they will take your 50 lakh rupees from you as a deposit, they will use that money to generate interest income, है ना, वो लोन की तरह उसको दे देंगे आगे. That's the basic business of a bank, right? But a custodian bank, what it does is, custodian bank will take money from, for example, 50 crore rupees from you. It will not give you any 3%, 4% return. In fact, it will charge 0.5% or 1% to hold that much of cash on your behalf.
Oh.
But
yeah.
It provides guarantee on the full amount. 50 crore का 50 crore का guarantee लगाया.
Okay.
But it will charge you fee. It will not pay you any interest. So, but then what they will do is, as a prime brokerage, they will provide brokerage services, they will provide custodian services, and they will also provide investment advisory services. So they, same people will come to you and tell you कि boss, आपका ये 50 crore मेरे पास पड़ा है, which is earning nothing. I have an opportunity. If you agree, if you give me power of attorney, I can manage these funds also. Then you will use that cash in. If the HNI wants that money to be in liquid asset, तो वो liquid में डालेगा, treasury bills में या सब में. If HNI is okay to put the money for long term, so they will invest that money into equities or mutual funds and a combination of all. So,
right.
Yeah. So इस तरह से ये चलता है. तो इतनी बड़ी डील्स जब होती है, ये 50 करोड़ और 50 करोड़ 100 करोड़ की डील होती है, उसमें ऑर्डर जरूरत को नहीं मिलेगा, उसमें ऑर्डर JPMC को मिलेगा.
JPMs. Right.
And they will do the bulk deal for. वो ऑफलाइन भी कर लेते हैं डील्स. आपको 12 बजे भी डील कर देंगे. देखो ऑनलाइन तो आज आप समझो बात को निखिल, ऑनलाइन तो ये प्लेटफॉर्म है NSE का, ठीक है, लेकिन आप और मैं फोन पे मिल गए, आपने बोला कि मैं ITC का शेयर 300 में बेचना चाहता हूँ और मैं लेने के लिए रेडी हूँ फॉर एग्जाम्पल.
राइट.
तो डजंट मैटर ना कि ऑनलाइन क्या प्राइस चल रही है. थिंक लाइक दैट.
राइट.
दैट इज हाउ द मार्केट यूज्ड टू बी ऑलवेज, राइट. तो ऐसा ही होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी कुछ टाइम पहले इसमें रूपा करके कंपनी है, must be aware about Rupa and Company, right?
Rupa and Company, yeah.
So ये Rupa and Company में अभी 1 साल 1.5 साल पहले सुनील सिंघानिया bought 1% or 2% of this company. ठीक है. तो उन्होंने बल्क डील किया, उसके बाद में न्यूज़ became public and after that वो 20% इंक्रीज हुआ था. अब इसका थोड़ा अपन लंबा चार्ट देखते हैं, ठीक है, वो सब आपको एग्जैक्टली दिख जाएगा ऐसा होते हुए, तरह से प्राइस बढ़ते हुए. एक ही दिन में आप देखेंगे यहाँ से क्या प्राइस चल रहा था, 350, 324, 322. कौन सा प्राइस है? 300 के आसपास है प्राइस. राइट. अब देखेंगे इसमें लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में 300 दिखा हुआ है.
राइट.
एग्जैक्टली जैसे ये न्यूज आया 25 मई 2021 को, सुनील सिंघानिया हैज बॉट 1% 2% इन दिस कंपनी. सडनली एक ही दिन में ये प्राइस कहाँ चला गया? ये एक ही दिन का प्राइस है
400 plus.
400 plus. But this happened after the deal of Sunil Singhania.
Yeah.
Bulk deal अगर वो मार्केट में कर तो एक दिन नहीं लगता, सिर्फ 1 मिनट लगता. As soon as he had put an order of buy of some crore shares or 2 crore shares, broken है, normal broken retail broken है, जैसे ही ऑर्डर डाला होता सिस्टम में, हाथों हाथ प्राइस बढ़ गया होता. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Right.
कभी ट्रेड होता है तो आप देखना बिड और आस्क का रेंज दिया हुआ होता है. कभी देखा है आपने? कभी ट्रेड होते हुए देखा? लाइव ट्रेड आपने कभी देखा है? ज़ेरोधा का ऐप ओपन करते कभी करा है आपने?
हाँ किया है.
तो ज़ेरोधा के ऐप में ना यहाँ पर दिखाते हैं बिड एंड आस्क. ये शायद अभी ऑफ है तो अभी दिखाएगा.
आज सैटरडे होगा तो बंद होगा.
हाँ वो बंद तो है ही, बट अभी दिखाएगा बट कल का दिखा सकता है. लेट्स सी. पासवर्ड भूल गया मैं, दैट्स अ प्रॉब्लम।
No problem.
तो उसमें ना ऐसे साइड में दिखाता है
Right.
कि उस दिन पूरे दिन कितना ट्रेड हुआ था और कितने लोग लेने के लिए खड़े और कितने लोग बेचने के लिए खड़े। How many orders are there for buying or how many orders are there for selling? So if buy's order will be higher, you will find that the prices will be going up for this stock. If selling order is higher, then the prices will be going down for this stock. कैसे होता है ना? तो अगर buyers है 10,000 और अचानक से 25 करोड़ शेयर्स को सेल करने का ऑर्डर आ गया तो प्राइस एकदम क्रैश कर जाएगा।
Right.
Now coming to the point back, Kanchipuram, Karpuram ka, if you want to sell 25% stake, obviously you will go for bulk deal and you will, for example, contact me. So I'll say, boss, I'm ready to buy, but I'll not buy at current market price because there is a marketability issue, right? Your stocks are not liquid.
Right.
So I'll apply a discount for lack of marketability or liquidity discount and I will buy it at, for example, and now कितना वो discount होना चाहिए उसके लिए मैंने आपको बोला है कि डेटा दिया हुआ रहता है, right? वो लगा दिया 20-25% डिस्काउंट, जो भी रीजनेबल इंडस्ट्री वाइज डेटा आपको मिल जाएगा। ये BVR रिसोर्सेज जो भी मैंने आपको वेबसाइट दिखाई ना, इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक के पार्ट हो निखिल तो यू आपको ये सब चीज का एक्सेस होगा।
Right.
Right, and obviously if you would be selling 25% stake तो आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक के थ्रू ही सेल करना पड़ेगा। राइट, तो बस ये है, मैंने आपको दिखा दिया। जनरली हम कैप्चर नहीं कर पाएंगे वो डेटा बिकॉज दोस आर पेड रिसोर्सेज। डेटाबेस से डेटाबेस डिपेंड करता है कितना फीस लेते हैं। या कमिंग बैक टू दैट, हाँ, anything else you would like to ask in this? वो there was no present case studies, but मैंने आपको वैसे दिखा दिया करके केस स्टडी।
Right.
So when I was into pure valuations, na, so DLOM and DLOG was very common. We had to apply it on every deal because I was into valuation of private companies.
अच्छा.
Private companies में DLOG लगाना ही पड़ता है। एक चीज और पूछी थी आपने बोला था कि ये लोग ट्रांजैक्शन कैसे निकालते हैं, ऐसे कुछ पूछा था ना। I forgot on the other aspect. DLOM is covered, but one more thing you would ask. I'm forget, एक चीज और पूछी थी शायद आपने।
मैंने ये सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस पूछा था आपसे, ये जो DCF
सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस कैसे करते हैं ये तो पता होगा आपको, मतलब एक्सेल में कैसे बनाते हैं ये पता है आपको?
एक्सेल में I don't know the process itself कि
ठीक है, कैसे हमें यहाँ पर वैल्यूएशन वो आपके उसमें है, किसमें क्या बोलते हैं। अच्छा गाइस, आई गेस ये मैं आपको कल वाले सेशन में लेता हूँ ये आपका क्वेश्चन।
Right.
ये ना खत्म हो जाएगा 4 बजे, अचानक से बंद हो जाएगा। आज मेरा ऑलरेडी साइन आउट हो गया है, किसी ने ऑलरेडी कंट्रोल ले लिया है। जूम का कोई एक मीटिंग प्लान है ऑलरेडी 4 बजे।
ओके,
तो ये देखिए साइन आउट हो गया हूँ मैं। यू हैव बीन साइंड आउट बिकॉज़ यू करंटली साइंड इट अनदर डील। ये किसी और ने सेम लॉगिन क्रेडेंशियल से कर लिया है। 4 बजे को कोई आज एक बैच लॉन्च होने वाला, तो अभी बीच में रह जाएगा। ठीक है, सो फर्स्ट थिंग आई विल टेक सेंसिटिविटी टेबल कैसे बनाते हैं। ठीक है,
ओके,
विल कंटिन्यू विद दिस। द सेशन इज नॉट ओवर, द टॉपिक इज नॉट ओवर। ठीक है, विल कंटिन्यू विद द सेम टॉपिक।
okay.
Okay, so was it helpful? Lack of control, I guess this was something which was not covered in our valuation, normal valuation of DCF and all that.
Right.
Okay, so we meet tomorrow guys, and yeah, please come on time. मैं आते ही ये चालू कर दूंगा sensitivity, ठीक है? 4 o'clock exact, 12 o'clock. तो आप टाइम पे लॉग इन कर देना। निखिल, आज आपने लेट लॉग इन किया था।
Yeah, I logged in late, quite late in fact.
हाँ, आज टाइम पे कर लेना ताकि immediately I'll take sensitivity analysis. I'll show you how to make sensitivity table. So it is there on your LMS portal. but I'll show
Okay.
it how to make it and then how to interpret it.
Okay.
Basically इससे रेंज मिल जाता है कि आप कितना लोअर से लोअर कितना जा सकते हो, हायर से हायर कितना जा सकते
Okay.
हो, गेट अ रेंज ऑफ इट. जैसे अभी मैंने एक मॉडल खोला था ना कांचीपुरम का, ये देखो ये सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस मेरा यहाँ पर ऑटोमेटेड बना हुआ है. अगर आपको दिखेगा मैंने बहुत ज्यादा ब्रॉड बना रखी है. सेंसिटिविटी एनालिसिस है. maximum से maximum I can earn 2056% in that stock, in this stock, and minimum to minimum I can earn 415% in this, no 132% in this stock.
Okay.
Broad range बन गई है. maximum to maximum side ये है 5947 and 132% का रेंज बन गया. बट ये बहुत ज्यादा ब्रॉड है, इसी ब्रॉड नहीं बनाते.
So it is basically you take the lowest capital cost and the highest terminal value growth rate, right? Is it so? And then you arrive.
Because we can only make it on x by y, मतलब क्या बोलते हैं इसको?
You need two axes.
Two coordinate, only on two axes.
Yeah. Okay.
3D नहीं है, मतलब 2D ही बनेगा. तो जो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट assumptions होते हैं हमारे, वो होता है एक तो लॉन्ग टर्म में हमारी डिस्काउंट रेट क्या रहेगी, बिकॉज डिस्काउंट रेट कैन हैव अ ह्यूज इम्पैक्ट ऑन व्हाट कैश फ्लोज एक्चुअल वैल्यू वुड बी. एंड सेकंड इज व्हाट वुड बी आवर लॉन्ग टर्म ग्रोथ.
Okay. I think
I have taken a very broad range of sensitivity from a growth rate as low as 5% to 11%. Obviously, with lowest growth rate, you will have highest present value. With with lowest discount rate, you will have highest present value. With the highest discount rate, you will have lowest present value, right? Because it goes in denominator as a discount rate. Similarly, with higher growth rate, you will have higher present value. With lower growth rate, you will have lower present value.
Okay.
वो कॉम्बिनेशन बना के we see कि कितना मैं क्या probability है कि मैं लॉस में जा सकता हूँ. This sensitivity table will tell you.
Okay.
The worst combination over here is what? The worst combination over here is what? This one. Highest discount rate, lowest growth rate. The lowest growth rate is 9%, right?
Right.
And discount rate highest है. Worst combination में भी मुझे कितना प्रॉफिट मिल सकता है?
132%.
तो मुझे ये शेयर परचेस करना ही चाहिए. There is no chance I should not buy. It's like that.
But that is over a period of 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So annually it will be 5 and 5%.
No. This return is not over a period of 20 years. This is 20 years का future cash flow को present value पे लेकर आया हूँ.
अच्छा.
और this is what I feel the value should be as compared to what is the current price in the market.
Okay.
So fair value पे 132% ज्यादा पे, मतलब market price से fair value जो है 132% ज्यादा as of today.
अच्छा. Okay.
Okay. So let's close it, and I will start from here.
Right.
Sensitivity table बना के भी दिखा दूंगा आपको डेटा कैसे.
Okay.
All right, guys. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Sumit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.